conversation going on. I noticed there's no biscuits.
Not worked, has it?
And Scully's not here, so we clearly are. We're down on money.
I think they're coming up at 7.
Are they? All right. Why were you waiting an email to confirm? Or?
Sons and daughters, young doctors, a country practice.
It could be. I left them in the kitchen.
Christmas up.
You've left them downstairs, have you? Right.
That's solely great Australian culture.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Hello. Well, it's been a long time, lads. It's been a long time. We're back. We are back. The season kicks off on Thursday. We are back in town. No, Scully, he's ill, basically. He's injured. So John Davison has kindly stepped in, a bit of common sense on the show to get us underway. Hopefully, it won't breach our salary cap restrictions. We should be all right. But if anyone else gets injured, then we're knackered because we've got no money to bring anyone else in.
A very thin squad.
A very thin squad. We've blown all his money on Rich. He's our marquee man. And that's it, simple as that. Look, we're going to start with a positive because we went to the Super League launch today. I actually thought it was really, really good. And I said yesterday, I'm actually looking forward to the season for the first time in a long time. So well done to everyone involved at Super League for that.
And now is it another hour and 59 minutes of negativity?
No, not yet. I'm going to try and stretch it out 3 minutes. We are going to speak about all the teams as well, not just the Yorkshire ones for some of our listeners that think we are a bit Yorkshire biased. What they don't realise is we do this for free. We do it for the love of it. So if anyone wants to go video all the stuff from St Helens and Warren, send us it. We'll use it. Yeah, very good. Have you wintered well, Phil? I feel I've not seen you for at least 48 hours, or whenever it was, 72.
Yeah, well, I think it's that odd time of year, isn't it, that we all say there isn't a long enough off-season, and then you go to something like the Super League launch, you can't wait for the season to start. So I'm expecting snow over the weekend, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The key word, I think, from the launch was collateral. We now actually have something to sell. Well, a lot on this programme in particular, but a lot of other places. We've talked about promotions and how we actually sell the game, and this trite phrase of making the players the personalities that we build it all around. I think we've actually got at least two video. There's the launch of the season, which I don't even. Is it out on Sky yet? They showed us the actual season launch video it lasts about a minute.
We play league.
And then we've got the video, the documentary to follow, which I think both really sell the sport in a manner in which it should be.
We're not Wakefield or Huddersfield. It doesn't sell them very well, I understand.
Well, I would imagine they're on the season's promotional launch for a minute, but then probably not on the documentary very much. But okay. We only saw part one of the documentary.
My understanding says they are on it.
Well, I should take back.
So
take back control.
Sit through all these 4 parts of the documentary, then there's not going to be any.
You're not going to be on there. You're going to be heartbroken.
Not going to solve Dave Fafita's mystery foot.
No, it's not. John, welcome to 2020, the year when England are actually going to kick the Aussies' arse at Rugby League.
Ralph Rimis said it. Extra big organ.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if he said it then.
Caption yourself.
I think Do the Aussies was the...
I
looked over at Rich and I looked at Paul and their eyes rolled.
The countdown's on. We're going to beat you.
In wheelchair rugby.
I just read.
It wheelchair rugby.
I think you beat us in wheelchair rugby league every time.
Yeah.
Sack the men off, sack the women off wheelchairs. That's the future.
I think I read in a young journalist by Ross Heppenstall, he did an interview with Tim Sheens, and Tim Sheens has picked England to.
Interesting.
They can win the World Cup and etc. etc.
So.
Yeah. Well, they could.
But with his good mate Wayne Bennett in charge, of course.
Yes. Is that going to happen? Do we think?
Yeah. I think Wayne's a lock. Speaking to an England player, a lock for the job. I was speaking to an England player a test player at the launch, and
was he happy with that news?
He wasn't unhappy. Yeah, it was. He just.
Who was the player?
Well, we weren't really any confidence.
It can't have been anyone from St Helens because they weren't there long.
Was it Jackson Hastings?
I think Wayne will. I think Wayne will be in the job. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Rich, are you well?
Oh, I'm excited now when Bennett's staying on. It's exciting.
How are your beloved Wakefield going to get on this year?
Great. We're going to win everything.
New signing.
Is that 6 injuries already, Rich?
Yeah, something like that. Romain Navarre is coming from Wigan to bolster the squad. Wakefield with a great history of having French talent in the squad.
Morgan Escray did a good job for him last year.
Freddie Bonquet.
What's he going to do this year, by the way?
I don't know.
Run on the water.
It seems that Wigan have got a lot of expensive players on their books that aren't going to get in their team.
Send them off to Toronto when they get this exemption.
Yeah,
So
we'll talk about that. Obviously, we will talk about that. I need to go back. I know we're going back a bit, but obviously the World Cup draw just before old Prince Harry jacked it in. We did well there. Well done, Harry. It was a great event. I mean, I think we were all there, weren't we? It was a good do. What do we make of it? Are we excited now for the World Cup?
Yeah, I think we had 3 events of very different type over the close season that actually elevated the profile of the sport to probably a level that we haven't seen for quite a while. We had Sonny Bill signing, and that'll all come into discussion about what have Toronto ever done for us and what do they bring to the party. The terrible news about Rob Burrow, but the way the game responded to that, allied to obviously the injury suffered by Mossy Masoi. Bad news unfortunately does sell, but because of the way the game handled that, and the way Rob himself handled it, which we've spoken a lot about in the intervening week, so we don't need to go over the detail of that. Again, I think painted the sport in a really good light. And the third one was the World Cup draw. Not only because it was so well staged, and hats off to the Rugby League World Cup 2021 committee, because they are doing some great stuff at the moment in the way they project the sport, but the Harry story just fell in our lap, didn't it? You know, his last formal royal engagement, the fact that he then decided he not only did he want to voice over a video, which was very important about mental fitness, but wants to stay on as the patron as well. So every time he pops up in the future, even if it's just to go to the Challenge Cup final or shake Wayne Bennett's hand, the cameras are going to be there.
Yeah.
I think those 3 events have actually given us a springboard that we can be positive about going into the new season. Now, I'm not sure that too much has changed, and again, we can talk about that. One of the things that I thought was quite interesting was the documentary that's on Wednesday, We Play League.
The Amazon Prime. Yep.
It starts with Robert Elston beginning his tenure in his current role, speaking to the media at the 2019 season launch. There isn't a huge amount of difference between what he said in 2019 and what he told us last week. So for all the optimism around, there's a load of great players coming into Super League. That's exactly the message we got last year. There's a load of great players coming into Super League. I think last year was a bit quiet, and privately people who were involved at Super League are saying that they didn't realise how far the juggernaut had to be turned round, and that it's just at the beginning of that process at the moment. So I think that the fact that we have had a good off-season, we haven't had any Aussie players getting into trouble.
Just in Australia.
Yeah. Over here, the World Cup was the icing on the cake.
Need to spend more time in Bali.
Breaking news from James Gordon, fan of the show. He says, Wigan and Warrington have cancelled a planned joint press conference to preview their Super League opener, citing, it's a big word, the current climate between the 2 organisations. Why do Wigan and Warrington hate each other now?
Is that not just the setup though?
Yeah.
Because the story is, it's been cancelled. Oh, bad blood, bad blood.
Oh, so I've fallen for it already.
Well, I would ask that. It's question.
like this is worse than the wrestling. And
Yeah,
When the press release says not for publication.
Oh, I don't get these press releases, so I won't know.
It's in capitals. Yeah, not for publication.
Well, that's not my fault. I just read a tweet.
It's a tweet.
James Gordon.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Tell him.
Very good.
First start of the year.
Yeah.
James
Were
Gordon.
you impressed with the World Cup?
Yeah.
The way it was all handled?
I've got 2 things. I think Woodsy should have had a shave, if I'm honest.
Well, I
am the most scruffy man ever.
He's had a
but I do actually think Dave should have had a shave. But that's by the by. I thought he would
I thought you
have
meant Nigel. Sorry, I thought you meant Nigel.
No, I didn't see that. What about Dave?
Nigel was in the Palace.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah,
that's
he was in
the tower.
The photo.
That's tongue in cheek.
He was getting some
great
jewels
job.
for Self and Bradford.
I think they should have done the wheelchair and the women first. I don't know what, I think you build up to the, I would call it the main event, because they're all, certainly the women's finals on the same day as the men's and everything, but that's all I'd have done differently. Little things, thought it was fantastic. When it came on, you think, wow, that's pretty amazing. Can you imagine when they had the meeting? Right, we're going to do the draw at the World Cup somewhere. What a dickhead. It wouldn't have happened. You would never. That wouldn't. You can imagine that, can't you, in rugby league that got mentioned. Someone would have gone, nah, that's not happening. That's not happening.
I remember December when they had a press event at Old Trafford, and there was like, oh, we've got a really important location.
They've done well to keep that
I think Phil and
under
Richard were thinking, Odsal, Bellevue.
Yeah. No, they've done brilliant.
With the top royal, that's...
But I still meant, I said it to you at the time, there'll be some people in that room squirming, going, this is putting us to shame, really, I think.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm sure that the Super League launch was well planned in advance, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came away from that draw and thought, there's a bar there that's been set. We need to get as close to that as we can.
Yeah.
They'd probably agreed everything they were going to do, but the launch seemed, with Brian Carney doing his interviewing and
it was
more
good.
in tune.
It was good.
With,
it was good.
Okay, you can't compare the two, can you? One's an international tournament with big government funding, the other one's a club tournament.
But if it's raising the standard every time somebody
does
something, then...
was James Maloney and Sonny Bill's banter. James Maloney taking a piss out of...
Yeah.
But again,
Money Bill's love.
Somebody thought about that. Get the two guys on stage
James
who are going to react to each other.
Yeah, anyone who's watched the footy show and watched...
Is Israel fine fully?
Will be if he signs for
Doesn't make too many
coming to Super League, that's what I'm told. He's coming to Super League.
Breaking, Mark Wilson.
Well, no, not quite breaking, but my sources suggest he could be signing at a Super League club somewhere in the south of France.
That though. Forget the fact that he hates gays and people who have sex and people who are drunk and everyone who's not in part of his little particular religion. Does he have Betfred on his shoulder? Because that's all that matters.
Come on, Rich. That's a. You can't think that's a non-story.
I've never seen.
Please.
No, I don't think it is a non-story. But
He's not wearing the link.
Yeah, I think it was. I thought it was Rich or someone was like, "Oh, it's a non-story because they don't do it in France."
No, it's the reaction of people who are obviously just doing it to say, "Oh, he's a bloody Muslim. Let's have a dig at Sunderland Williams."
Yeah.
Letter in the paper today. Oh, he's taking the money from Betfred. Well, he's not directly, is he?
He's not taking any money from Betfred.
What's he going to do though when he catches the ball? He's going to have to like move the logo around quick so you can't see it.
Super League.
Not be tackled on the logo.
He's got to play first. Will he play on Sunday?
Betfred were delighted when it was announced in the news that Betfred will not be on his shirt. Betfred will be devastated by the fact that they keep continually getting linked with this guy. You know.
Just mention plays in the Challenge Cup. Maybe he likes Cole and you don't like Betfred. I don't know.
We got 74 seconds with Sonny Bill. Anyway, I was very pleased with that.
74. I don't know what's on the national paper and I got nothing. So,
you can have 74 seconds if you want. I mean, I didn't ask any good questions. I was quiet about my questions.
Was there any yes bro? No bro?
No, it was good. I called him a superstar. He thanked me for that. And, it was very good.
Butter him up first. I like the
He has been good. I have to say, in all of the media he's done, and you'll appreciate more than any that he hasn't done as much media as he did, but he has been put up a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
He's come across magnificently.
Comes across as a fine. I'll tell you what, I saw him when we got Ted in lane and walking in. He walked out. He was obviously going for his picture taking. He had his gear on. He's a big man, isn't he? He's a big man.
First time I saw him close up was the 2015 Rugby World Cup final at Twickenham, and New Zealand just beaten Australia, and Israel Folau and him. This is before Folau went a bit crazier from his normal days, and they embraced, and I was in the mix zone and I just saw it, and I was just like, that's an impressive, as a physical specimen, he's fine, different than the average.
What do you reckon then? Do we think we're going to see him this weekend or not?
I think we might see him off the bench for a cameo role.
Do you reckon?
10 minutes?
Or do we see him when he's been home and sorted out the birth of his kid?
No, I think if that was going to happen, he probably would have already gone by now, because there wouldn't have been a lot of point him hanging around here. I think they're trying to integrate him slowly and surely into the team, and to do that he needs to play. That you can train as much as you like, but at some point he's got to be out there on the field. And
I'll tell you what, by the way, what the hell has happened to the field at Leeds?
Well,
that pitch, and I did tweet before, what a wonderful building that is, but that pitch is a disgrace.
Tranmere Rovers versus Man United was playing on the bench.
Is it Yorkshire Carnegie? Have they been in?
Who? Leeds strike soon.
I
What?
wouldn't have thought so.
What?
They're never such a ball.
Soon to be relegated.
I'm going to say. So they need to sort that out.
Well, wasn't Tony Smith talking about the pitch at Bellevue the other week when they played the friendly?
The pitch at Bellevue is fine. Nothing wrong with the
It was-
Yeah, don't
Matty.
be criticising
Yeah.
Wakefield's Bellevue.
Mobile
I think
Stadium.
actually Chris Chester
can you
mentioned
please-
that the pitch wasn't
Can
great
you please always-
after the game.
Please refer to it as the Mobile Rocket Stadium in all correspondence.
No.
A wink to the camera.
Right, Toronto, they want some more money, a bit like we do. What's that? What do we think of this now, and why the hell? Right, and this to me highlights the problem between the fact that we've now got two governing bodies ruling ruling the sport. What has it got to do with the RFL? Why are they still in charge of whatever happens in Super League? And also, they've had this is the fourth year of the Toronto Wolfpack now, isn't it? They had two cracks at the Championship, one in League One, and now they're in Super League, and we're still arguing the toss over what the rules are or what. Some would argue they're arguing the toss. There's nothing to argue against. I don't know. I look at it and I think, as Brian. I mean, we spoke to Brian McDermott. Check out his interview. He had it was all right, wasn't it?
He's good. He's
He
good.
says stuff.
Did you
Yeah,
leave the bit
yeah.
in when he had a pop at me about what did he expect me to say? Did you leave that in?
I think I left it all in. Even
Oh, did
the
you?
way I had to go at Phil.
I don't have a go at Phil. Did someone knocked into you, didn't they? And he had a go at the guy. Knock. Anyway, we digress. But
He's supporting you now.
he admitted, didn't he? They're in they could be in a relegation scrap, which I didn't expect him to say that.
They've got 22. Because Chase Stanley's in Australia and I think
Yeah.
Greg Wellington's at Feb, so they've got 21 players.
Yeah. How
How can you
they,
not be in a relegation?
But how have
scrap?
they allowed this to happen? Because and the people
Terrible
go,
salary cap manager.
Bill Williams is getting paid. Well, no, he
Nothing
gets
to do
he
with
gets
it.
a little
Nothing.
bit of the salary cap, as does
Yeah.
Stanley.
Yeah.
And same with
Sorry, Latelli.
that's nothing to do with it. Yeah. What
So
they're paying
that's
those
not-
two.
What they
Well, that though does raise the question. They must be paying some players a hell of a lot of money.
Gareth O'Brien, Joe Mellor,
Yeah.
Lussick. These people are on overs.
Yeah.
Big
So
overs.
that's my point. So therefore, I'm of the opinion, right? If they go live in Canada, then I think there should be an allowance made for that.
Mm.
But we all know the English players live in England and go and stay there when they've got a game. It's not like the Catalan players. They live in France.
Exactly.
They don't live in Leeds and just fly over for the game, do they? So I'm of the opinion that you've got, once you go to Canada, I don't know the legalities of that with all the visas and everything, but I think until they do that, I just don't think they should be. But I do think they should be in. I think there should be some waiting like this for London. But to get that, I think you've got to move to Canada and be a Canadian.
I agree with you. At the moment, it's kind of they want their cake and eat it too because they're considered as an overseas club.
Yeah,
Hence is the problem with all the border agency and the visas.
yeah.
But they're based in England. So
But
it's
again,
like-
is that
you know what I mean?
something that should have been sorted out before they were
Well,
accepted in?
I
Yeah,
think you've hit
definitely.
the crux of the matter. That there's two questions here for me. One is when they were admitted in the very first place, what did we expect? And that was a decision that was made by the whole game because we didn't have the split between Super League and the RFL then. So it's sort of, oh yeah, come in, don't take anything. We'll have the kudos of you coming in, but we haven't got a plan of how you're going to move forward or how we're going to exploit the market.
Because
that
it's
you're
the
in.
same way we always expect, Phil. As you
Well,
know,
that-
we just put someone there. Oh, you've got some money.
That-
So here you go. We're
the
not going to support you much. We're not going to do anything.
That was
Yeah.
the second point. Yeah,
It's
the
the same way as
first, the
we always
first
expect.
point is what is the plan for the North American market? Why bring them in the first place if the restrictions they're going to be placed under, fairly or unfairly, signed or not signed, are going to harm them from developing? Because the one thing that you did know is they were going to go through the system. They weren't here to
Yeah,
play in League One.
yeah.
You know, they bought a Championship team to get out of League One. They bought almost a Super League team to get out of the Championship. So the fact is that their intentions were clear from day number one, whether it was Eric Perez there, David Argyle there. So the sport, which includes all the Super League clubs at the time, because they were part of the decision that was made, wanted to bring them in without a plan of how that was going to develop.
Yeah,
It's now to the point where it's developed and suddenly we're panicking that we don't have a plan a week before they're playing Super League.
Yeah.
That's one issue. The other issue is exactly what you just hit upon. When have we ever done expansion well? You know, we couldn't do Oxford, we couldn't do Gloucestershire.
Gateshead.
Every club that,
Crusaders.
Richard brings
Mention
up,
the other week, Scarborough.
we do not have a
Perth.
plan as a sport in the Northern Hemisphere for how we will accommodate expanding the game. Do we want to do it? If we want to do it, how do we want to do it? Do we give any form of positive discrimination because clearly you're not going to have access to the level of talent on your doorstep that other clubs do? All of those issues. Do you need to promote financially the team I go back to Catalan, which we said the other week. When they were brought into the competition, there was a moratorium on relegation to give them the chance to build. They had 3 years where they knew that as a business, they were in Super League, they could go out and get commercial sponsors, which they've done as well, if not better, than most of the clubs in Super League. They built an audience. They knew that for 3 years their fixture list was going to include all the best teams coming over to the south of France. But for one of those years they slipped, and it was Castleford that got relegated instead of them. But everybody agreed that that positive barrier needed putting in. But we don't want to do that with Toronto at the moment. Now, I don't know why we don't want to do that. Some would say it's envy, fear, whatever you might want to call it. And it may well be that Toronto's previous administration signed up to an agreement that nobody in their right mind would have signed up to. That needs renegotiating as they get to the top table.
Depending on who you speak to.
Depending on exactly who you...
there's or they agreed to this or we didn't really agree to this. It's not... And because there was never a public... release of that agreement with Nigel Wood.
All we know as well is that Toronto have now got to the top flight and taken no money out of the game. We know that is a fact. So whereas every other club...
Haven't they spent was it 15 to 20 million?
But every other club who is making a decision on what's right or wrong with Toronto are taking out of the game. Toronto, where we sit at the moment, have taken nothing, and you would have to ask, what have they brought to the game? And is what they brought to the game what the game needs? Because there's an anomaly here. We've got certainly two very vociferous chairmen in the east of the county of Yorkshire who are coming out on the week of the season starting saying what they don't like about Toronto. We've got the executive chairman of the body that represents them telling us at the launch that what he's trying to make the competition be is relevant, have a profile, which he said was virtually nothing. And he the 3 words he used was it young, ambitious, and confident.
What do we make about his U-turn? You're obviously talking about Robert Elston.
And what he actually said was Toronto.
The word was,
but he said 100 places,
and now
100 cities.
And now he's all over it like a cheap
converter.
But isn't that an example of how, as a sport overall, we don't have a policy on expansion?
Well, we don't have a policy on anything, do we? We know that. And that, this needs sorting. And as we've said, what is the game supposed to look like post 2021? No one knows. And we work on national radio. They are headlines. Toronto are headlines. How they're going to get on? What they're going to do? Whether they win or lose, they've lost. They're in trouble. Whether they win or not, it's the first simple.
Did Sonny Bill play? Did he not play?
Exactly. So, and you'd be pleased just sort of big one. Are we doing an Emmerdale style whodunit? Because we've got a dead player.
That's
Scully, isn't it?
We're waiting for the trailer.
Is that Scully? Is that Scully?
That's representative.
Dear.
He looks like he's been in the gym.
I think that's
one of our players is injured.
I think that's the those ones. Because of course the team they're playing against is Blackpool Borough. Randomly.
I thought it was Sonny Bill Williams and the All Blacks. Big red V on,
Maybe it's Castleford.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a repeat of the 2017 Grand Final, which is a key factor in that documentary, which we'll talk about later. Does the Lamport Stadium have lights that work in the away team's dressing room?
Hopefully.
Well, they're one step up than some clubs in the British.
All right.
I don't think they've got a video screen.
Have they not?
I'm over it somewhere.
Do they have? They must have tellies in Toronto. Then. They must be
I think television has got this.
Well, they're not bad at the end of the game.
Young, ambitious, and confident.
It's Canada, not Featherstone.
Lesser known follow-up signal to Young, Gifted, and Black. Nicholas and Sandy have been on. They are from Toronto. They are Toronto.
Well, go on then. Let's see what they've got.
Nicholas says £100,000 to live at home with your family all year, playing for an English team, or the same amount to play for Toronto and be expected to live away from home for 9 weeks. Will a premium be needed to convince the player and their family to be away for more than 2 months?
That's what they're paying. To get
that's
a team
my point.
together.
If they go, Nicholas, you can have it. No problem. You have another million as far as I'm bothered. And I've said this about, I always use the example when we get asked about it in the media. If you're playing at Cass and you earn 40 grand a year, then you can rent a very nice, probably 4-bedroomed house in Cass. And I live in Bradford, same in Bradford where I live. You can rent a very nice house, have a very nice lifestyle, and your kids go to a good school. You go to London, you ain't renting a box room for £1 grand a month, £2 grand a month. So there's no, you can't do it, and it's probably the same
No,
as you said.
I think it's more to do with attracting the player in the first place to be part of that lifestyle.
Let's
where
say if you say to John Wilkin, right,
family.
you've got to go live in Canada for 8 months of the
No.
year, he's going to say, well, actually, I don't want to do that.
I think it's also to do with the fact that you are going to be away from your family from a fair proportion of the season, even though you won't be living over in Canada. Now, we haven't as a game.
That's professional sport.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, what about as an England cricketer? You're overseas all the time.
Absolutely. But the issue, I think, is about, do you make any kind of dispensation for the fact that it isn't the same lifestyle as people that live on the M62? Do you compensate them, and should there be an additional amount of money
I think
to attract them in the first place?
A living allowance, much like London have, is fair.
Yeah.
And I think also the rules should be tweaked in that Canadian and North American players are not counted as quota players because they've got no local players, and they've made. I mean, they talk about it, but they've made no effort.
Well, but there aren't any. Let's. I mean, I've seen a debate on Twitter about. There are X thousand rugby union players playing in Canada, and they haven't made any. Those rugby union players are not at a level to play Super League.
No.
So just because there are players that recognise the shape of a ball and run around,
but they could have played in League One. They could have played in the Championship.
But the issue that you bring up is of the status that a domestic player would have. They're trying to re-sign Quinn Naguati. The amount of money it would need to get him.
Hold on, this kid couldn't play. He never played when they were really
young. Why did he leave in the first place? Phil?
Yeah.
Because what they think that he will need is to be in a full-time training environment around people like Sonny Bill Williams that they think will bring him on. Still only 20 years old. He went back into the aerospace industry to further his career because
he played in the Under-20 World Cup for Canada. Inside centre.
So he's got some potential, and they feel that sticking him, alongside the guys they've now got at Super League level will hasten his development. And the amount of money they would need to tempt him back out of the aerospace industry and into a full-time rugby league environment is not a lot. The problem is they can't sign him.
It's just like
because he's counted as an overseas player.
Yeah, that's just.
I agree with that. But apparently they've got no money left on the salary cap, and you can't go around blaming anyone else. They've spent that salary cap, nobody else.
Yeah, no, it's what they should be allowed to spend to develop the sport, and you'll know better than anybody around this table about Melbourne when they were brought in. There was a conscious decision made.
It was quite a funny comment the other day. The primary. Because he forgot to mention that Melbourne got done for avoiding the salary cap.
I think they may have taken it to beyond its logical conclusion. At
the Saracens of the NRL.
Yeah. But what that model, there was a tacit agreement amongst all the other clubs that they needed propping up in the very early days to make sure that they survived. They also gave a chance to some young kids who probably weren't going to get straight into the Brisbane or North Queensland team, but had been identified as they might be pretty good, the likes of the Cameron Smiths and Greg Inglis, Cooper Cronk. That it gave them an opportunity to play, and immediately Melbourne had something they could build on the field and off the field. And the decision was made by all of the other NRL clubs that they would accept that. They didn't accept the fact that it went beyond that, and they were
having secret votes.
But that was over 10 years down the line after they'd come in. So I just think that again, we need to decide, what do we want from Toronto? What do we want from the sport? What do we want it to offer to the wider world?
My team to win and all the other teams to be rubbish.
What did Sandy say about we got Nicholas?
If that is what we need, then let's not.
I'm all for him being in. I'm all for him being in.
But once they're in,
it's been nothing but, whether you like him or not, it generates publicity, which is what, as a sport, what we need. But the problem is, I think the rules aren't being set out beforehand, and everyone's having to deal with the fallout.
And that is the fault of everybody. It's not just the fault of the Super League at the moment. Like to blame the RFL.
Can I ask you a question, Phil? You know, when they allowed them in, do you ever think they thought they'd get this far? Or did they think, we'll let them in, they'll do a year, they'll decide they haven't got enough money.
But if they did, they shouldn't have let them in.
Because is that not a typical rugby league thing?
Yeah, absolutely. That goes back to what John was saying about when have we ever done expansion properly?
Got a few fact-finding missions to Toronto under your belt.
Yeah. You could probably say there's 3 successful examples: Caroline, Melbourne, and the Warriors in New Zealand.
all of
out
which
of
have
probably
been-
like 50.
Well, and the Warriors were artificially propped up because they bought a television deal. The Australian
And they've
didn't
almost
have.
gone under a few times, and they've never won a. They've made 2 grand finals, but never won anything in what 25 years. So
Like that TV deal that Toronto and New York and Ottawa and everyone else is bringing.
But would people
Worth
like
billions.
would people like Amazon Prime be even interested in taking documentaries on sport if Toronto weren't part of it?
I think that's a different thing.
Um,
in so much as sports documentaries
yeah,
are different than live sport.
But I think it's
Exactly,
how you
yeah.
sell them, and you sell the idea that you're a credible sport that they need to have in their portfolio of documentaries. Oh well, we've got teams in France and Canada.
I think that's more down to the City Talking's relationship with Amazon
It
because
is.
they've done
But
very successful
absolutely.
documentaries. in
But
the
it is.
past.
I think it becomes
Oh,
more
it makes them sellable. Yeah, I agree with that.
if you've got that extra market that you can be aiming at.
You can go to Japan
Absolutely.
or France or Argentina and say
absolutely.
we've got.
And Amazon
Sonny
Prime
Bill's
say,
going.
well, actually, we will commission this because people in North America will watch it as well as in.
But I think as we talked about on Friday, surely the smart model was to build your own academy, your own reserve team of 18 to 22-year-old locals or top junior, and then have them as a touring
But
team
like-
that goes around and they improve, and over a course of 3-4 years, you might get 1 or 2
Well,
who's
but
good enough to play
here's
first
another
team.
one,
And they're not
jumping
good on the
in.
cap because they are
So
a
if
separate.
they are based in England,
Hmm.
which they are,
Basically
why do
2/3
they,
of the
why
time.
do they not have a reserve team in the reserve? Why do they not just have one based here?
Because they're regarded by the RFL as an overseas club.
Why don't they just,
That's why they can't get work permits for their Australian and New Zealand players.
why don't they just buy a lower division team that's never going to be promoted?
Well, they
Well,
tried
they
to
did,
do that
they-
with the scholars,
the
but I
scholars.
don't think the money ever.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
Sandy
no,
said-
no one knows, but
Go on.
the implication is that the
They've
money
had it
actually
once.
never got paid, Phil. Which
No, no,
don't
no.
laugh,
No,
don't
no,
laugh.
no.
Chance Cup draw's going on in a minute. I'll tell you if anything exciting happens. Sandy says, living costs in Toronto, even if you're there for 3 weeks, is a lot more. That's because she spends it all on coffee and them Timbits.
And
More
donuts.
expensive over there. Nando's and Costa, that's what
What do they do when they live over
there?
there? Do they like live on a campus
In a
or
flat.
something, or what? How does it work? I genuinely don't know.
I thought they used to live in a dorm.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sunny Bell.
I'm not 100% because I know last year Ashton Sims and Josh they flew their whole families out, kids. So presumably the club's putting that up at a fair cost.
Yeah.
You know, you've got 4 kids, wife, etc.
We should kick Toronto out because of the carbon footprints. Says Gary. He doesn't quite say that.
Was that from Greta Thunberg?
Yes, really.
But the other mistake we've made is that we have brought one team in a location without a plan for other teams around them that will spread the sport, which is, I think, the responsibility of the NRL, Super League and the international game. What do we want out of the American? We're going to give them a World Cup. Suddenly we're not doing that. We're going to have a test in Denver. That didn't work. We're going to have a team in Toronto at the moment. There's financial implications with that. What do we want? What resource are we prepared to put into it to further the sport as a whole? And if we're not, then let's not do it.
Confirmation from Nicholas that they did used to live in student residences. Hopefully better than the house they used to live in Barnsley. Now they will live in downtown condos and apartments. That's expensive. One imagines. So that's the news from the property market in Toronto.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be the next series the City Talking can make, is Toronto players looking for houses in Toronto. Because
Well, who's the Canadian equivalent of Dion Dublin? Because he could go around and help them find it. Do them up.
the BBC love that kind of thing daytime.
Well, who's did that? Chev Walker did his house. He was on the telly. He could go over and help them out.
What we do know is that Sky are going to feature a number of their games. Might not officially been announced yet, but
How do you know
It's in the magazine.
I think if you'd have read it in there.
that? Oh, is it in your magazine?
I don't
I
know.
looked at the pictures.
Did the join the dots.
Well, you'll enjoy the documentary because there's, apart from telling stories about Zach Hairlick and things, me and Matt Horton are on there for about 2 seconds. It's brilliant. Best thing ever. Best documentary ever about rugby league. All of them. Into the bin. This is the best.
There's nothing worse than being at the launch, right? And this is why, when you're a broadcast partner, like TalkSport are, just nudging that guy from Betfred who forgot to mention us. When you're a broadcast partner, you should have your own little section in the room.
You should.
Because there's nothing worse than walking up when you're just minding your own business, and then you stop and you realise you're right in the camera shot of someone's interview, and you go, oh, fuck. and you think, oh, I better look a right tit on that now. And it's like, but it's horrible. That shouldn't be allowed to happen.
I was standing behind Christian Wolf and this photographer, and I'm like, that's not going to turn out a good photo in my head.
No, and it's
behind
like,
it.
it shouldn't be allowed to happen.
Yeah.
So that, lessons for everyone there. Put them facing the wall away from everyone else.
We're blurred out on the Super League show, so it's like we're criminals or something. Phil's full in.
No, it's to protect our identity.
We'll talk
not
about
associate.
Got some Super League show news in a bit.
One of the probably the last things on Toronto, because people won't know us talking about them.
Well,
we'll have a vote on it.
Because
anyway.
John obviously has followed the story of regular payment of bills or otherwise. One of the things I would say they have done in this close season is Sonny Bill Williams was unveiled at Arsenal. That became a much bigger event than most signings do, and it attracted a lot of media outside of just rugby league media. They had it in the capital, but also they had it at a venue where suddenly invitations are going to media outlets from both the Antipodes, the Americas, and here, where they're sending people who wouldn't normally cover rugby league. They had their media day at Manchester City. Now again, as a sport, that's exactly what we should be showing. We're getting excited when we're playing a test match against the Aussies at White Hart Lane or whatever it's now, New Spurs. Robert Elston was talking about trying to appeal and appear relevant in the modern world. Well, you don't do that by having your media day at a local college down the road, where you've always had it. You take it to a prestigious location and people will build it and they will come. And I think that's one thing Toronto have done. They've got 10,000 fans that 3.5 years ago had never heard of rugby league regularly coming to the game, which we can't knock because that isn't happening anywhere else.
No, and having watched the pictures of being involved in the coverage of the game, they are going and enjoying what they're watching. They're not just going, I don't know what's going on. They're going and paying.
People saying, oh, well, it's because they win every week. When they start losing every week, the fans will go. The fans want to see competitive sport. They will see it more than ever in Super League.
Dave Woods and his beard is doing the Challenge Cup draw. So far we've got the British Army versus Ince Rose Bridge. These are selected highlights. Thornhill versus Doncaster. Just waiting for Coventry to come out, to be honest, because obviously we don't care about them. Siddle versus West Hull. They'll put that on because that's two teams people have heard of. Barrow have just been drawn out at home. Still get someone from miles away now. Should be very exciting.
Zaya, we're just
London
watching you.
Scholars.
This is like goggle boxing.
This is like the Saturday afternoon football.
Well, I thought it got a bit quicker.
We're watching you.
Watching the screen. Done us in there.
It's got a bit slow.
Done us in.
Hunslet, so I expect an email in about 2 minutes' time. They've got Cov. Oh, I can go to that. Probably if I'm not working. I'll go to that. Bit of hospitality. No, I can't afford that.
No.
Yeah, that's about. I'm waiting to see.
Have you announced the major new sponsorship deal that you signed?
Oh, I haven't yet. No, but we'll do
Are you going to mention that later
we'll do
on?
later. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the second ever biggest deal in our history.
It is.
Yeah.
West Wales going to play Underbank Rangers, but I don't know if they're at home or away. So that'll be.
We'll drawn out first.
Well, it's going to be drawn out because the last two teams in at.
All right.
They're at home, so Underbank have to go to West Wales. Is that going to be a banana skin for the West Wales Raiders?
I don't know. We'll see.
Tell us.
Right, so Toronto then. Good or bad? Right, yeah, that's it. Good or bad, John? Toronto, good or bad?
In what context?
Bear in mind that you don't get invited.
No,
to
just
any
that's
of
It's like word. It's like word
That's it, good or
association.
bad.
It's like Timmy Mallet. Remember when he used to whack you over the head with an
You
apple?
know
We ain't
Timmy
got
Mallet
that.
is?
That's what we need.
He will. You
that's-
know who Timmy Mallet is, don't
No.
you?
No, I don't. That's what we need to get away from.
10 minutes.
This
10,
is-
10 minutes.
I know I'm in for Scully, but everything's not black and
It's alright,
white.
he doesn't
There
know.
are
He doesn't know who
layers.
Timmy Mallet is.
Yeah. I think Toronto in general is good, are good for the game.
Right,
They've done a lot of they've done a lot of good things.
Yeah,
But there are a lot of other things
yeah,
which they haven't done so well.
yeah.
You can't just ignore them
No,
just
you
because
can't.
they're doing well.
No, you
and
can't.
like you can go out and say they're the future of the game and change
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but we need a bit of
If
realism.
you, if
and a
you
bit
could, all right, then it probably do it this way. If you could maybe not tweak the rules, but clarify all the rules surrounding
I
them,
think
and maybe
clarify,
make
yeah.
it easier for them.
I have some
would you do
sympathy.
that?
I have some sympathy for what Brian McDermott's saying, and
Yeah.
I agree with Phil in terms of living allowance and or maybe a relegation because Catalan's had it. That
Yeah.
kind of sets a precedent. But also, I mean, I've talked to a lot of agents, and salary cap management is probably the most important thing in rugby league.
Yeah.
And you look at, you don't have to pay overs for all of those players.
No.
And some of their recruitment decisions,
But
like they
then-
buy players
but let's be
mid-season
fair,
and give them
there
are-
double
Long deals.
long deals.
Yeah,
Like, I think
yeah.
they signed Ryan
Shouldn't
Braley for 3.5 years in the middle of a season from Super League for League One. I mean,
Yeah,
That's just
but let's face
madness.
it, there are
Yeah.
other clubs you could point the accusation at, paying overs
could.
and players on
Well,
long contracts.
in my story in League Week, I think one Super League official put it out, and it wasn't Holcar who said it, but they said Holcar, so they have to pay overs to get people to go
They
to
do.
East Yorkshire.
Yeah,
So
they do. It happens in the Premier League to go to Newcastle
Yeah.
or Middlesbrough as it was. You had
Well,
to pay more money because people don't want to live there.
And again, I would go back to London. We have never had a policy about what we want to do in London. And the one reason why I do listen to what Brian McDermott says is because he's done it at the sharp end in a, in a development club where there was no resource. So I think points that he makes about Toronto are coloured by the experience he had in London.
Mm.
So and you look at some of the talent that is now coming through in the south of England, how London's academy,
Yeah.
but we've never decided what we want to be the focal point of rugby league in the capital.
Some people on the internet, not us. This is not when Matt Shaw outed us at that presser with David Ferner. Some people on the internet say Brian McDermott's a hypocrite, and we wouldn't say that.
Well, I said that at the time, didn't I? I never heard him moaning about the salary cap when he were at Leeds under the club that adhere to the salary cap more than anyone else. But
by the time he got told off last year.
oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But did he get any say in that?
No, he did as he was told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the point that he's making is that if you want the sport to be more relevant in the modern era, where whether we like it or not, some of our traditional clubs will struggle through no fault of their own because of the economic conditions that they exist in. If as a sport you want to be hitting new markets,
Yeah.
you have to underpin those.
Do you think
And
they'll get?
whether
Do you think
that's
they'll get a
London-
dispensation
Yes,
or not?
yes, I
You
do.
do.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll
Because
get
I-
one?
Well, I think the Super League clubs have already voted 7-4 or 8-3 against.
Yeah. I
That's
don't,
what
see,
I
I
was
don't
told.
see how it can happen.
I mean,
so
that's what.
So it's
I
like
think
okay,
five of the
saying,
clubs
oh,
I
we want
spoke
an
to-
extra 500 grand.
I don't know if they'll get a dispensation, but I think for this year there will be an allowance. How that is paid back
Yeah.
at some stage, how that is clawed back. If they do get a television deal and the first 100,000 of that has got to go back into the other clubs.
Why don't
The-
they
The
just...
problem
No,
is,
let's move on.
I
I've
think-
only
let's
got
just say
I
one
think
last
they'll
thing.
sign another
The
3
problem
players.
goes back to having promotion relegation.
Well-
if you've got a franchise system,
Yeah.
but when other clubs could go down,
Yeah.
if you're Hull KR or Wakefield or Huddersfield,
Absolutely.
why would you give
go
another
for it?
club?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that also goes back to should the clubs be essentially running a
Which
game?
is the issue.
Yeah,
not
because they're all,
what-
you'd be stupid to vote for something that's for the
Yeah.
greater good, which could bankrupt your club.
Turkey's
We,
Christmas.
we
yeah.
are talking about a sport where the club's voting against money in favour of trucks. So, just want to point that out.
Stuff like
Yeah.
One of the clubs, but there you go. Why don't Toronto get all the other players signed up as shareholders in the cannabis oil doobie keep thing? Like Sunnyvale.
I don't know.
Can't wait
What's
for
happening? There's a lot of people.
Oh,
getting
what's
going
people
on?
saying? You're talking too much about Toronto. Is it Andy on Facebook? This has turned from the Leeds show in the Toronto. to the
Ah,
Toronto show.
they
You want us to talk about Leeds? What do you want us to... Oh, no. Not done
We're going to
anything
do
yet.
predictions anyway.
Because nobody's talking about Toronto.
We're going to do our
So
predictions.
We have to ignore it.
I'm sure on all, because there's going to be more rugby league content this year everywhere that's not here than ever before. Sky have got a new show.
Yes,
There's a new
Betfred
documentary
have got
show.
a new show.
Betfred have got a new show. We've mentioned them far too much now.
They're not paying us.
No, there's the other
Should we
Thing.
close it up?
Yeah.
Doesn't
I'm
take
not
over-
listening, Mark. I'm alright.
Doesn't take over the odds as well. What else is going? There's a Betfred Super League. The documentary's on for 4 weeks.
Everyone who's got phones doing a podcast.
Yeah, everyone's got a podcast. Super League show's back next week.
By the Balls is coming out about 3 times a week.
You know what? I've never been on By the Balls. I'm not mentioning it on this show
No,
anymore.
I'm
I've
not
never
mentioning
been
it.
once been on that show. And yet every week I get a message asking me to retweet it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing it. Until I'm on, I'm not retweeting it.
It's
And
gonna
that's the last mention you'll ever
Cash
get on
figure.
here.
Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, Sky Sports, Inside Super League, with
Yeah.
Will Perry off of shouting into a mic at the grand final. Make some noise! Him. And I think he's on
Bill
5.
the ref!
I think he's on 5 Live as well, but I don't listen to that. And I've ripped the radio, he only just tunes into one station. Well, what have I done?
Lowest for sale.
And Lois Fussell, who we all love, so that's good. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
If you just see,
Back
What-
chat's back.
great, that'd be great for the 5 people who watch Free Sport. What's concerning me?
4 of whom are on back chat.
What?
Oh, that's scathing, Richard.
No one watches this program. No one listens to this program. We know when we go to these things, no one turns up to us and say,
They're all watching, no one talks to us. I wonder why that is.
You know, inside Super League, right? It's going to be this hour-long magazine program which has highlights of last week's games, previews of the upcoming games, and the talky bits in the middle where they player profiles, etc. Is it going to be the exact same as the Super League show, which has the highlights of the games that have gone, and then they talk a bit about some other stuff, and then
No, it's not.
it's
It's
interesting.
almost like he knows.
You know what's
No, I don't
interesting?
know anything.
I'll tell you what's interesting. And this is not this
I know
people take this the wrong way. This is not the criticism of the producer of the Super League show and anyone involved, but it's interesting to note. I understand that obviously Sky, as the primary broadcast partner, having spent billions of pounds on Super League, but none of it goes to Toronto, so it's all right. That
I've missed your ranch.
yes, they have an exclusive period of owning the content, apart from the Super League themselves.
Yeah.
And after that is when a highlights programme, of which the rights go to the BBC, can be broadcast. Now, when does the Super League show first get shown, generally?
Is it late Monday night?
11:15 or whatever it is.
They can show that programme from 6 o'clock on a Sunday.
Is there a regional slot though?
Well, it
That's
shouldn't be
irrelevant.
regional.
No, no, but
That
that-
is-
but it is-
You mean they
that's
could just
almost-
put it?
it
You mean
is
they could put it
produced.
online at any time, or you mean they could show
They
it?
could show that programme.
Well, obviously they
anytime.
don't think it rates. That's
Well,
yeah.
That,
Well, they shouldn't have the rights for it then, should they?
and again, that's not a knock.
Simple as
It's not
that.
a knock on the people involved at the Super League show. It's just the point.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. When the RFU or the Premiership, whoever it is, have their programme on Channel 5, they don't say to them, "Oh, you just stick it on at midnight," do they? So it's just interesting.
I think there's a few
Saracens-
Saints fans mourning that we're not talking about Saints.
Well, we would have done, but they didn't. They buggered off.
Yeah, they did actually.
They buggered
Yeah,
off.
they did.
You
Yeah,
know,
they
we
did.
got
They
to-
went.
you know.
Didn't even say goodbye.
Not our fault.
No.
Wigan at least said we'll send you a clip.
Yeah. Did they?
Well, I forgot to email them, so that's my
Oh.
fault. But I thought if I'm doing I can't bother doing a programme of all 12 clubs, and I can't get all 12 clubs in. So I must have.
We'll talk about Saints now. New coach, same team, miles better than everyone last year. They're going to finish top again, aren't they? Surely, John.
I think so. I mean, I think Christian Wolf, obviously he's a bit unproven that he's not been a head coach of a club in a top league before. He's coached in the Q Cup and obviously coached at Tonga, where he's had huge success. But I think he's just keeping things pretty much the same as just keeping the players motivated.
Is this Saints team not like when Millwood was in charge? That basically it doesn't matter who coaches it, they're going to win anyway.
It looks that way. I mean, you across the depth, and they haven't brought anyone in. They've obviously lost Danny Richardson, but they don't really need to.
We didn't
bring
play,
anyone.
did he? He didn't feature.
Well,
Really.
that's the thing. I
So-
don't did he play 7 games, 8 games?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think it's Saints to lose, really.
Yeah, Phil. What do you think?
I mean, I know every team starts level, but effectively, because they haven't recruited,
Cover up that logo.
that Saints effectively, nominally start 16 points ahead of everybody else, because that's the difference between them and the rest of the clubs, and they haven't changed their roster. I don't think Saints are going to be any worse. It's up to everybody else to catch them.
To get there.
There isn't going to be a single. In fact, if anything, you could make a case for saying at this time last year
Sonny's brought us big.
we weren't 100% sure how their overseas imports were going
Feed
to
the
go.
backs.
We weren't 100% sure how some of the young kids that were coming through their system were going to go. All of those players are now a year older, have all had success. Kevin Aguama is coming into a system that he knows. He's had a pre-season that he hadn't
They
really
played for
had.
Fiji.
And Lachlan Coote knows exactly the environment he's coming into. Richardson's gone because they reckon they've got a young kid, Lewis Dodd, underneath, who's as good, if not better, than he potentially would have been. So it's their choice for Richardson not to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's not like economically they've had to sell him. I can't see them. Let's say that they will not be any worse than they were last year, and if they're no worse, they're 16 points better than everybody else before we start. So yes, every bookie has them as the favourites. I think everybody who's done their pundits has got them winning the competition. We have seen dynasties in Super League, but I just like the way they go about the business. The thing about Christian Wolf is he now has something to prove, because he's got to follow a team that won the grand final. So he won't change a lot. He doesn't need to, but what he can do is come in and say, look, I'll tweak it a little bit so you play my way, But what I've got is a group of players that can play, and if I can motivate them in the same way that I have done with Tonga, the likelihood is we're going to have success.
That's the thing. He must be a very good man manager because he convinced Tomalolo, Fafita, etc. to go and play for Tonga, and there's no money, there's no glitz and glam playing for Tonga compared to playing for Australia and New Zealand. And what they've managed to do in beating Australia, something England
and they haven't done it.
Whoa!
Sorry.
Pipe down.
They haven't done it as a one-off.
And Great Britain. Yeah.
They've done it for.
Well, they've done it in 2 tournaments, haven't they?
Yeah, 3 seasons running now
Yeah.
that they've made a so they are building some. There are some young kids that are pledging themselves to Tonga from the go, and you know, Katoni Staggs play. We talked a lot about Great Britain players being played out of position. Here's a guy who turns up into camp.
Was the kid on debut?
As a centre or winger and gets put in at scrum half and dominates the game.
And there was the 18-year-old who was on debut, or I think might have played for the Australian schoolboys against England Academy the year before.
But has never played an NRL game, but looked like all of his life he was a full-back. You know, so I think if Wolf can do that with his squad, Saints are the team to count.
Rich, have you got Saints top?
Well, I said Wigan didn't know halfway through last season we're going to win this year's grand final, so I can't.
No, who comes top? No, who wins the grand final?
Yeah, probably. There's no reason to go against them based on the fact that, as everyone has said, they were great last year. They didn't need to improve or sign anyone new, so they haven't. The players who are getting older aren't old enough to be. You're thinking that they're going to be a detriment to the squad. We've got lots of good young players coming through. Ergo, they should be up at the top end of the table. Everyone says they are going to win Super League, apart from Andrew Voss.
It's only really Roby and Tyre you think who are maybe getting on a bit, but they still played very, very well last year. So.
And they're starting to find players like Morgan Knowles who will take over from Tyre.
Bentley.
They're starting to, you know, Aaron Smith now is becoming a kind of hooker that, you know, if he plays 20 minutes of every game,
exactly.
Roby can be more rested than he has been and prolong his career a little bit.
Better.
So no, I just think they've got all the ingredients. They play a great style of rugby. They're incredibly fit. That was one of the things that was palpable last year, that they were blowing teams away early on because of the intensity they played at. Why would you not have them?
I think they'll come top. What about Wigan then? Let's talk about Wigan. They have recruited well. It seems.
Splash the cash.
They have. Jackson Hastings, how's he going to do? Being a little fish in a big pond, but he's gone from being the main man at Salford. I don't think he'll be the main man at Wigan, but he proved his quality. He's a good signing, you would feel. It's going to be interesting how they go, isn't it? What do you think of them?
Oh, definitely. I think, agree with you 100%. With Hastings, his talent's never been in doubt, and the issue before has been how he interacts with other players in a group.
Yeah.
And the Roosters and Manly. And he was a little fish in a big pond there.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. He came to Salford. He ran the show at Salford.
Yeah, he did.
And he thrived.
Yeah.
Going to Wigan, completely different setup. You know, there's a lot of egos in that dressing room, and the expectation. I mean, no Salford fan at the start of the season picked Salford to make the grand final.
No, they didn't.
Unless
they
you're
didn't. No, they didn't. Mate, they
but Wigan, they were expecting.
One person did.
That's not worth mentioning.
She'll remind you.
Wigan, they expect to be in finals every year and winning things, so it will be interesting to see how he adapts to that. I think he'll do well. George Burgess, good signing, and they've got a good lot of young players coming through.
Yeah.
You know, those forwards, they just go in and rip in and tear and bash people. I mean, it's great to see. Bevan French, we didn't see much of him last year, but he can score a try. So
he's got some gas.
Where's he going to play?
He's a fullback or a winger. You can't put him in the halves. So don't, unless you just basically hand the ball and run at every play, which gets a little bit monotonous. I mean,
you see, I think he is the key to how they're going to do. I think they're going to be up there because the ingredients are all there. It's integrating some of the newcomers who want to run the team and won't be able to run the team because that's not how it works at Wigan. It's integrating some of the kids who clearly are the most talented we got around because they've won the Academy Championship, was it 9 times in almost as many years.
Amazing achievement.
So they've got the ingredients. It's how you fit them together. Now I think that Zach Hardacre is the best fullback they've got.
I think he'll have a massive season this year.
And I think having settled down for a year, having got fit again, having missed a couple of years. You know, he now is ready to return to the kind of form that makes him one of the best backs we've got in our competition. But I don't see him as a centre. I think he has to play at fullback. That's where he makes the most impact. So then you say, well, where does Bevan French play? Well, he needs to play on the wing. Well, they've already got rid of a winger who was quite a good winger to Catalan, because they've got a plethora of wingers, and that's before Don Manfredi comes back again.
Yeah.
So then does Bevan French go into the half-backs? Well, there is a gap in the halves, because I don't think Thomas Lulai will play every game. Sam Powell has covered, but I think he's the hooker that they need to...
They've got some good young halves coming through, haven't they? Or at least one.
So
Harry
Smith.
Yeah.
But I think that how Adrian Lamb integrates the ingredients that he's got will determine how Wigan do. The bizarre thing about Wigan, there's two things. The first is everybody accepts they were poor last year, and yet they were 80 minutes from the grand final. So poor at Wigan is better than most other teams' best.
Yeah, well, were they that bad? I mean,
First third of the season, they were terrible.
So. But,
They were terrible.
But once he
But the second third of the season, they were really good.
Yeah,
But they win 12 or 13 games in a row, I think.
Don't forget, they had all who's going to be the coach.
No Bateman, Tompkins
but
going.
they weren't great in the playoffs. So when it got to the end of the season where they needed to kick on to another level, they found they couldn't do it. So
they basically did a reverse Warrington.
But the interesting thing is the second point, and that is, are the Wigan public going to buy into what's happening? As Ian Lenigan himself said it, that one of the things that they need to do this year is consolidate themselves as a business. We need to get more people through the gate. They need to be seen to be playing a brand of rugby that the Wigan public relate to and want to watch, whether they're winning or they're losing.
Is Ian the problem? I know he's probably some listening who I expect to get a message about it, but it's a serious question, because he puts some money in, we know that. He's out of pocket every year he runs, so he's putting his money in. So you can't criticise him for that. They sign the players. My issue would be they sell too many of the players, but they bring them through young and they sell them on. That's fine.
A business model that's worked for them.
Well, it has, because they're still losing money even though they're doing that.
It's worked in the sense of that they've been able to remain competitive and still win.
Yes. Yeah. And credit, to stay at the top is a tremendous achievement. But why are they not going? Because we were told, it's a style of rugby.
Brexit.
So they changed the style of rugby, and the crowds. I thought there were some interesting comments from Ian in the press when he said we're really happy with the crowd for the playoffs. I thought, well, if Salford hadn't come, mate, you wouldn't have got anybody there. So
those playoff crowds were.
And
at Warrington as well.
Awful. So I'm not so sure about that.
I think the bigger issue for Wigan is the issue that faces the game as a whole. That are we commercially relevant? And what can we genuinely look to get through the gate? And if it's not going to be enough to sustain the sport, then you do have to look at new markets, which brings...
I think in fairness, they're getting... I think they've invested a lot of money in their infrastructure, regarding their corporate abilities and training ground.
New training ground.
Absolutely out of this world. So they have invested money in that, which is good for the long-term future of the club. But just a question. I don't know why. It's like there's something they don't like there. Why have they stopped going? I don't know what it is.
It's almost like Michael Maguire played a successful but negative style of rugby, affected the crowds. Didn't stop the trophies coming in, but people were saying, "Do we want to see our team win by over wrestling the opposition?" Then apparently the Sean Wayne era was coming to the end because we weren't playing attractive enough rugby, but they're all local lads and they're all trying their heart out. But even that didn't appeal to a certain selection.
That's what I mean.
What do the Wigan fans want?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because they don't all go watch the football team.
But I don't know if we do.
I
don't know if we do enough work actually talking to our fans about what they do want. I think part of the problem is, as Wigan find more, as much, if not more than most teams, is that if you play a fixture list that repeats so often, it loses its lustre.
Fixture fatigue.
Yeah.
And I think that, with so many teams at the moment coming from that quadrant of Lancashire, you can't sell Wigan and Warrington and Wigan and Saints in the same way that you used to, because it happens too often.
Fair enough.
I was trying to find a quote from Sean Edwards, which was in a very interesting article with him in The Guardian last week.
I tweeted about it, Rich.
And it was you we tweeted about it, and that's how I've stolen it from. But
I stole it from the Guardian,
That's
so
all right.
that's all right.
Not one about him swearing. He almost swears more than Gareth Ellis does in that documentary. I never knew he had such a short vocabulary, Gareth Ellis. I thought he was a nice young man, but apparently, can't take him far line. No, he's Cass. He's Cass.
Lock
When
line.
he swears, yeah. I can't find the quote. Basically, he was saying that he wanted George Williams, he wanted his man in,
His fitness coach.
and Wigan said, we don't want him.
As
I think we may have mentioned that.
as
when
Scully
all
told
this
us.
furore was going on, and we got lambasted by certain sections of those close to Wigan that we weren't a million miles
He has
away
changed
from
his
the
story though, because originally it was, I hadn't signed a contract and they never offered me a contract. It was like, well, that's not the reason, but as usual in most things, there's a little bit of a phony media war, isn't there? And
I think really cancelled the press conference over Anthony Galling claiming that Wigan wanted him back. Because
that's peak rugby league, Rich. That is peak rugby league.
Hey, we're not talking Israel Folau here. We're talking. Oh no, sorry.
yeah, you say that. That's
We're not
not. Yeah,
talking.
I'm trying to speak
You were definitely
diplomatically
going to
these
burn in
days.
hell, Phil.
But yeah, we're not speaking about
That's
Sonny
just hanging
Boy
around with me and Rich.
I don't think any club could have had him because he was a witness and they would get rid of everyone last year because they had to have kids sign the bikes to stay alive. Remember that?
Yeah. So go on then. What are we? So.
Wigan. You know what? Team Wigan's finished up, haven't they? And
Have you?
Andrew Vossi is going to win Super League. So me and Vossi, we're together on that.
Yeah, but to be fair.
But in the pie.
OKR challenging for the playoffs.
Well, yeah, I mean, he must have been on some kind of cannabis oil for that one, mustn't he? But that's a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, so a lot of them may well do. They may well
Plenty
do.
of upsets.
I don't see it myself.
I have them as a finals contender in 7th.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move. We'll speak about them.
I've noted who's putting Wakefield down at the bottom. I've noted those names.
Are they banned? Have you banned them?
Banhammer.
Have you banned them?
Banhammer's out.
Yeah,
I wish I did have the.
I think Saints and Wigan will be the top two. I don't think so. It's interesting for all the money they've spent. No one's got in those predictions. Has got Warrington finishing in the top 2. Yet they've splashed the cash again. Gareth Widdopp's out injured already.
I love the fact that you went straight into Steve Price with. Is it your year?
These are the questions that people want to know.
Yeah.
Is it going to be your year?
His answer was.
The answer was, that's a
It's
good question,
always our
Mark.
year.
How's your new signing, Steve? How's everyone settling in? That's everyone else.
All right,
No, that's everyone else.
Well, you can do them next week. You can do them next time. The questions.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's
Hiding
everyone
behind
else.
the
They've signed a reject from the worst club in the NRL, so that bodes well. Not Gareth Widdop, Latani Latu.
Well, he's better than Tavita Leo Latin.
He commanded a big salary.
He was when he was at Penrith a couple of years ago. He was next big thing on big money. Went to the Times on a huge contract and did nothing. And Justin Holbrook's gone over there, taken one look at him and said, "See you later." And his good mate Steve Price has taken him off his hands. So.
Well, there
Hopefully
you
he comes to Super League and has a point to prove and does
I'm
well.
sure he will.
You know-
But it's another big signing for him.
I forgot to say on Wigan, just going back to the documentary, which is on this week, you will see on that documentary, and you've mentioned this before, going back to before the grand final in 2017, the Zach Hardacre that we speak to and have spoken to in the past is the Zach Hardacre on the documentary, and not the other side of Zach Hardacre. And I hope that this is still the Zach Hardacre we're talking about.
Yeah, I think he'll have a big year. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. Right, so that's central. What about Warrington then? I mean, is it going to be their year? It always is. It never is. Is it? I don't know.
Well, I thought last year was going to be the year. I think they'll make the top 5, but just
It'd be a disaster if they didn't.
yeah, definitely. Well, I think there'll be some serious repercussions. But I think if Widdop stays, when he gets back fit and stays fit, him and Austin is a really exciting partnership, probably the best halves partnership in the competition. But I don't know if there's enough pace in the outside backs.
Matty Ashton's quick.
Apparently he's training really well. I've not seen him. I don't know he did great things with Swinton last year, but I've not seen him play recently. But yeah, he apparently has got a lot of potential. So hopefully he's makes a big impact. But just Chris Hill looked. Craig Brennan looked very tired and overworked. I don't know.
The spine of a side, which is how
the spine is very good. It's very good.
Ratchford, Darryl Clark, the two halves you mentioned, and maybe a Ben Murdoch, Masilla, if you can do it for the entire season.
They've got the depth. Yeah.
I just there's something about they're going into the season in such terrible form. Arguably one of the worst runs of form of any of the teams going into. It's a bit like Hull at the start of this season. That was it. Warrington won what 2 out of 10? Was it towards the back end of last season? Masked by the fact that they had a brilliant Challenge Cup final where they got the tactics right and some players who played out of position rose to the occasion magnificently on that given day, but they couldn't sustain it for the remainder of the season. There's some weakness there. I don't know what it is, but I'm not sure they've cured it by just getting Gareth Widdop. Obviously they're really unlucky with the half-backs that they signed. Tyrone Roberts, for whatever reason, didn't do it. Kevin Brown obviously was injured before he could replay. Widdop now is starting with injuries. Fortunately, it's not a serious one, but he comes with a reputation of shoulder injuries, so he's not got a clean bill of health at the moment. For me, there's just something missing at Warrington. They do a lot of good stuff off the field. We think perhaps exaggerated rivalry with Wigan to get people in.
Bring it on.
That's exactly what we want.
That's
exactly
the
what we
problem,
want.
Phil. That's the
But
problem.
something
People
seems to be
complain about there's no news, there's not stories, and then when stories come out like the Sonny Bull, Brett Featherman, this thing, people go, "Oh, I don't like that." Like, if you want to be a big sport and you want to be talked about, you have to have thicker skin and be able to take.
Yeah, of course you do.
I mean, where does Dec Patton fit in this year?
Swinton.
In the reserves.
Or Rochdale, whichever team it is. I forget which they're, Joe Regis.
No, I also think they've got to play people like Joe Philbin a bit more because he obviously
played a lot last year, Philbin.
but he's got to be a
yeah.
start. I think rather than come off the bench and just be an
but
impact
look,
player.
it's a team. I think Philbin's one of the. I think I said it a number of times. I think he's the most improved forward in the competition.
He had a great season last
Brilliant,
year.
Big year for Ben Curry, who had a full close season, getting over the terrible injuries that he had. If he can recapture the form he showed when he burst onto the scene, then that's some of the pace that they need.
Have they got to make a grand final as a minimum, do you think, for Steve Price? Because they have, he's blessed with resource.
Well,
they have got
he's
money.
made 3. He's made 3 out of 4 finals.
He has,
and he's won one of them.
Yeah.
That's not a bad.
And
record.
probably the one that no one thought he'd win. He won. Yeah.
But the grand final. I mean, how many grand finals have they been in since 2013?
Yeah.
And they've won the Challenge Cup again and again. So you really think he has to get
the big one.
It's the Holy Grail.
I'll come to Toby, one of our Warrington correspondents in a moment, but Andy says you can just tell who of the panel hates the wire. We don't hate Warrington.
Who is it?
What?
Who is it?
Who
Is
hates
it
the
you,
wire?
John?
I quite like Warrington. I'm not banned from there.
Why don't we hate
dislike
Warrington? They're not Leeds.
I like
we don't
Warrington.
hate
They welcome me with
We
open
actually
arms.
don't hate anybody.
No, we don't.
It might come as a shock.
No.
Sounds.
No. Not even Scully, we don't even hate him.
That's Sydney.
But Toby, our Warrington correspondent,
Yes.
Ashton played really well at fullback against Salford because they put Steph Ratchford in the halves, didn't they, for that game?
Yeah, that could happen on Thursday.
Because I heard that at the launch. He says Patton wasn't even included.
Nah, his time has
He
been
needs
gone,
to
sadly.
move to.
He should have moved, yeah.
You know, whether it be a top championship
surprised they haven't
club
let him go.
He's got Jordan Lillard written all over
I think
him, sadly,
once,
at the minute.
yeah,
That
the
type
Jordan,
of potential that just hasn't been fulfilled. And maybe he needs to take a step back to step 2 forward. But we'll see. We'll see.
So he's not going to be playing for England alongside Jordan Lilly as Scully predicted now.
What about?
I thought it was
What
Truman
about-
Richardson.
We are going to go back to Yorkshire now because we've mentioned the top 3, and none of us really have mentioned anyone from Yorkshire. I think Hull are going to have. I think Hull are going to have a big year this year. No, I could see them being 3rd or 4th quite easily. He's gone back to the old Bradford Bulls, Lee Radford, a team that he played in with great success. Get them as big as you can get them, all over the field. As he said to me the other day, would you rather tackle a big one or a little one? And it's common sense, isn't it? I think they're going to try to steamroll the teams. Still got to worry about the creativity and what happens when they meet a side that's willing to go toe to toe with them. But I think Hull. I really do think Hull could be. I'm looking forward to them this year. It might not be. You don't want to say expansive rugby. I think they're going to run straight over you than run round you. But they have got the talent to run round you as well.
Pearson spent a lot of money.
Well,
I don't think there's any excuses.
Well, I think
this year
they made a decision last year to keep recruitment to a minimum with a view to going all this year.
But they had
they've spent a lot of money.
Manu and Minicello, who are a bit old. They probably
maybe 1 year
They did. They
Too
played
many.
1 year too many.
Yeah, but they've done it, and I think it's exciting times. The one worry I have is they haven't got, I don't think, that. But maybe they've got the perfect halfback now in Sneed. If you just kick him down and you're just going to bully teams, and that's what they're going to try and do. He didn't make any.
Comes down to Kelly and Connor for me.
Yeah.
Because they've got the pack.
But
They've got the backs
Connor
with
at halfback,
Connor.
Connor at halfback has not worked out. That has
No,
been,
but they've given him the number 6 year, which is really
But he
interesting.
is that
he needs
to
to
massage
perform.
his ego rather than
Maybe.
I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
I'm not-
well, yeah.
No, but what I mean is he a guy you need to have your arm up? Come on, Jake, you're the
He's
man,
obviously
you're the man.
different.
Is he going to do that?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, but I honestly think Hull, certainly out of our Yorkshire representation, I think they're going to be the biggest chance we've got
I agree.
of winning anything.
I
I think they'll go close.
They need to do one thing this year that they haven't found the key for, and they may have done, and that is use Danny Houghton a little bit more sparingly.
Yeah,
And in signing Jordan Johnson, they now have got somebody that they think can do a bit like Aaron Smith and James Roby, more game time, take the pressure. 'Cause Houghton is so important for them. You look at their stats every single year, and I don't know what they'd be without him, but he shouldn't be making 1,400 tackles if they're going to be going forward.
and we mentioned about playing him at loose forward. He did it a couple of times, and Hull looked a better team. He's got good hands.
You need a playmaker.
He can do it. It's not like you're missing. It's not like you're losing ball. He can still tackle anything that moves.
And his distribution is such that it gives you another pivot.
If you don't have a creator, a Darryl Clark, a Roby, a Cameron Smith, a 9, you're relying more on your halfbacks. And Danny Houghton is a great defender. But he's not a threat when he runs with the ball.
And I always feel bad because I always say it, but if you gave coaches the pick of a number 9, Danny Houghton would be quite low on the list because coaches take tackling for granted.
Yes.
Even though he does a hell of a lot of it.
Yeah.
But you're expected to do that. It's what do you do on the other
and
side.
he does
of
it
the ball.
over and above what most
Of course, he's a tremendous player. He's a great guy.
But
he's not used properly.
My only worry with Hull is they've got a really big and mobile pack. I think we all can't wait to see Manu Mao. Of all the signings that have been mentioned, he isn't being, he's not being got up on the stage, but he hasn't got the name Tongan Terminator for no good reason. He could be a sensation. So there's no problem with the size and the mobility of the pack. I think that outside backs, they've got so much choice now and size that they can score numerable tries. The question is, will they get that link? Will they get that trio in the middle of the field that will get the ball where it needs to be, when it needs to be there? And that's the conundrum.
I think they will.
And who is going to do it? I have a feeling they are going to play Connor at 6. Because I think they've
I
said
don't think they will.
that's where your future is and shows you can do it. I think he'll get a chance early on.
Twitter.com's Matt says he's not a big fan of Jamie Shaw, Mediton, you see. Try Connor at fullback, gives him space and freedom. There's another shirt that Connor can wear.
Yeah. Shaw is quick, good at finishing off.
Good out of dummy half
doesn't
if you
create
need him
offers
to
and
create.
he's not a Lachlan Coote, is he? Or even a Hardache. He's not in that. He's not at that level, but he's decent. I get that. I could see that. I'll revise my opinion. If you're going to play Jake Connor at 6 all year, then Hull won't do as well as I think they will do if Albert Kelly plays.
I think they might start him at 6 and see if he can.
I don't think.
Will Kelly be fit all year?
Well,
You saw
but
that
it's nice to have him as a backup.
Kelly's in the last year of his contract as well, which historically I think, looking at his career, hasn't been his most productive year when he's been at.
It's usually the opposite way for players, isn't it?
No, I think he'd be alright. Going for a contract.
Carson's banned, by the way, because I tweeted a picture of earlier with Phil in the background on the Super League show, and haven't you got your jacket? Saying it's like something Ralph would have worn. Which I think
My jacket?
automatic. No, Phil said that's automatic banning.
That's it wasn't tweed.
If Ralph had worn it, I could have turned it into
You
a
were
suit.
on a scooter though,
Disgraceful.
for some reason. You thought you were in New Zealand.
Harsh, that's harsh.
Ian would play Kelly at loose forward if Connor plays in the house. He'll have a squad with strength in depth all around the park.
They do.
That's a Scully comment.
It is. Is he? Well, he does.
You can't play halfbacks in what is essentially a props position now.
Yeah.
Although I think that's changing. I think there is a realisation that you don't need three.
No, you basically
it's not.
you need to have a loose. You need to have a prop who has skill and can ball play like a
ball player.
Liam Watts, a Jake Trebojevic, but you can't have someone who's 85 kilograms and 5'8".
All right, cool. What about our runners-up last year, Salford? Where do we see them?
Well, I'll tell you where they will finish bottom is the kit league, because that kit is dreadful.
All right, okay. Bottom of the kit league.
Well, Andrew Ross has got the bottom of the league.
Yeah, I'm not on that. I'm not on that.
Picture of bottom.
What?
It's going to be hard.
They've had quite. They've had obviously a huge turnover. You know what I mean?
Two best players.
Josh Jones has got a whole
momentum
in our
Great Britain.
But they could be in a better place.
Yeah.
On the basis of the fact that they had an individual last year who was fit for virtually every game and ran the show, and what they've got this year seems to be more depth than they've had in previous seasons. You look at some of the players that they've signed, particularly the three that they've got from London, and they all have a pedigree to do a job at every single week. They're workers, they're team players. So, Luke Yates that nobody had heard of, second in the tackle count.
Hey, leave the questions alone there, Phil. We know
you're making a good point here. Right, look, this is who's going out, right? Jake Bibby's gone, George Griffin's gone, Jackson Hastings is the big one, Greg Johnson's gone, Josh Jones, Daryl Alforts, Logan Tompkins and Josh Wood. Right, so those have gone. The big two, obviously, Jones and Hastings.
Were they not the two best
you've brought in
players last year?
Yeah.
Well, they were. They were. That's you can't disagree with that. But they brought in Chris Atkin, Kevin Brown, do a good job. James Greenwood's a good player. Sebastian Ikifo, I don't know what the hell happened to him at Huddersfield, but that first year he was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Connor Jones at Trevor might be a bit unproven at this level, but potentially very good. Potentially very good.
To Darcy,
Elliot Keir
didn't
let anyone down in Super League. Jack Ormonroyd's got a bit of Super League experience. Paulie, all right, look, he's a big man, but he even showed in glimpses, and it is only glimpses, but the potential is there if they can keep him fit. I think Dan Sargentson will do a good job. Rhys Williams, solid. Luke Yates, solid. I think you look at all those players and you go, you know what, if one of them played, you won't have a problem with that. I think that's good recruitment.
I think it's a solid team, but when you take out what Hastings did, and he was winning games on his own, and Kevin Brown is pretty much one injury or a head knock away from retirement. Brown and Aitken, presumably with Lola here, I mean, they're kind of the keys. Because I think they're quite good at fullback, got a good hooker, they've got some good forwards, some solid players, but you take a man of steel out of anything.
Don't forget, you've got Lola here, who is a bit of a jack in a bottom. If you say Kevin Brown will do this, that, and the other, and you've got to do it,
do the donkey work.
I think
has Kevin Brown still got it
across the board?
I don't think he has as a creative player, but I think he can get you around the field, and I think he'll be the steady hand that says, right, lads, this is what we're doing. And I think he needs to play a bit. I'm like you. I think he needs to play a bit smarter and not get. Kevin's big problem is he's too brave. He runs it in like a proper and gets smashed, and he can't keep doing that. I think he knows that himself.
I don't think they'll get relegated, but they won't be in the 5.
No, I think they'll be 6 or 7.
They might be mid-table this year as well. I think they will. As opposed to grand final, they certainly won't be at the bottom.
No, Ian Watson's team won't be.
The other thing is they've tasted a little bit of. You can say glory because it was a wonderful story last year.
Right, it was, yeah.
All right, glory didn't extend to physically lifting silverware, but every week they were the story. So, and I know I'm not the first person to say this, our Salford correspondent.
Well, I was about to say a source close to this programme. They're going to finish 3rd.
Well, no, but they're a good bet for a cup. If I was Ian Watson, I was looking at what I had and the depth of what I had, and I said, we can get 4 decent games together. We could go to Wembley. We could possibly win the check because we know what it takes to win those games that are playoff type games.
Well, they won, didn't they, last year?
We got to the grand final. That's exciting. You put in people like Mark Flanagan who won grand finals, and you just say to them, let's put not all of our eggs in one basket, but let's make a concerted effort because these days 4 games and you've won a trophy. Let's put the experience of getting to a grand final to good use, and the best use I think is it's unrealistic perhaps to expect them to get back to Old Trafford. It isn't unrealistic to expect them to get to Wembley.
No, I think they'll be all right. Middle of the season, who knows? Have a great run.
You only really need to win 3 games to get to Wembley, don't you?
Yeah.
Apparently we hate Warrington and Salford, So,
Okay.
That's,
Who says I hate? So I've just given them
a
glowing
source
praise.
close to the problem. So that's 2 of the 12 now we hate. So.
Right, okay.
Well, we don't like Wigan, and Saints we can't stand. So
Yeah, that's it. Full house. Salford thoughts, Rich?
They'll be in that middle bit with everyone else. That's in the middle. That we're not quite sure where they'll be. That 4th, 5th to 9th position.
There's 12. There's 11 clubs.
Yeah, they're all in that middle bit where no one knows what they're doing. We're not sitting till Wigan are there. Whiten and Hull are just below. Then there's all these other teams, and then the ones at the bottom.
what I would say
Who are the
is,
ones at the bottom?
We're going to find out, are we?
for all of the
Not my team,
speculation about where teams are going to finish, there are still 3 leagues within Super League, and there will be a bolter that defines.
I'm not
an
so sure there are
expectation.
now. I think there's 2 leagues in Super League.
I think we won't be a
think
million.
you've got away with that
Everybody's
bottom form.
predicting.
I think we had 4 leagues last year.
Yeah.
St Helens were a league of their own.
Yeah.
And then you had about 5 clubs.
Yeah.
And you had basically Leeds and Catalans doing nothing, and then 4 clubs spelling.
I think we still have a rough idea of where most teams are going to finish, and that won't be right because somebody will over-exceed and somebody will underperform. But there isn't enough. There aren't too many teams that we're saying actually everybody starts off level at the moment. I'm genuinely excited as to where they're going to finish. I think we have a vague knowledge, and looking at everyone's predictions, apart from the odd Salford will be bottom, we're all sort of talking about which area of the table each team's going to be in.
I think
We're not disagreeing with each other.
I think if Cass and Wakey didn't have 5 or 6 injuries each, they'd probably be.
Well, can we talk about Castleford? Because I am very worried about Castleford.
So
now. I am very worried about Castleford because I was worried about them anyway. I don't know. I think the recruitment is light. They've got a lot of injuries. I thought they packed at times last year, and I know they were doing it tough, and players probably were playing more games than they should have played. You take Liam Watts out of that pack, and I'm not so sure it's good enough anymore. It sounds really horrible. I think there's some people that really underperformed last year.
Some will come
and
back. I think
they may do, and some I'm not so sure will.
I think that's
so for the first time in a long time, I've always been very pro Castleford. I'm very down on Castleford and their chances at the minute. I just think they're going to struggle. You know, this Greg Eden thing.
Well, he might
Could we
be
go to
playing,
York?
won't he?
Well, that's what I mean. You know, you've got a player like
Well,
that.
actually, it won't be now if Fecky's out for 6 weeks.
But that's my point. And again, you know, I've said this about Huddersfield when they signed Uarte. They don't need a winger. Why have you signed him? Did they need a winger? I'm not so sure.
I can see why they signed him, because obviously the end of last year, and you know when Darryl Powell walked on the field and gave Eden a spray, he's been out of favour there for a while.
But this is a guy that's got 40 tries or whatever the year, 2 years ago.
He's very inconsistent. He's a brilliant finisher, but he makes decisions in games that can be very costly.
He may have scored 40, but how many did they concede?
And obviously for Powell, it looks like he's gone, well, you know, what you bring. Yeah, and he's got James Clare, he's got Alfords, he's got Fecky. Well, Simon Fecky. Is there another winger there as well? He's got options, so.
Oh no, he has. He's got. I just look at it, and I just, you know, obviously they've signed Danny Richardson. How's that going to go? You know,
that was the issue last year when Luke Gale went down and Truman basically had to carry.
Yeah,
but they are 2 very inexperienced halves. I know they played for England Knights and been in the Great Britain squad, but that's still a lot of pressure on 2 young players. The best combinations have the Kevin Brown that can get you around, and then they exciting,
more experienced.
Yeah,
they've seen enough from Truman last year, and again playing in a side that was badly injured. Yeah,
he didn't have the pack in front of him to give him the protection that he needed. My worry for Castleford is not that Fecky's out for the first few weeks of the season, because I think that combination of Shenton and Fecky will bring a lot of tries. I think that left-hand side, which was so effective in 2017, that'll fire again. Shenton's fit. And he is the arch creator. Why did Eden score 40 tries? Because he had a guy inside him that gave him some great ball.
Yeah, but they also had a very good fullback.
Very good.
One of my real worries
and a
is
very good back rowers.
With the great respect to Jordan Rankin, I don't see him as a fullback.
Oh no, I do.
Certainly not a Zach Hardacre type fullback.
No, but he's a creative.
There's great pressure on Richardson and Truman, who are very young, to gel and take that team round. 30 weeks is a lot of weeks to be doing that.
Are they the only club that's got 2 English halves?
I think it's important. It's important for the competition.
It's important for English
fire,
rugby league because you look across and it's all Australian halfbacks. I mean, they get the chance. That's got to be a good thing.
I think that by their own admission, people like Paul McShane and Adam Milner were slightly off the pace last year, but I think they'll come back. I think.
Well, you could have Mike McMeek into that list. He was injured. Off the pace. Yeah.
But
they should have come and get the to review him pretty much in the papers.
Well, there you go.
Straight to Saracens.
You see, you made a point, right, about Leeds, and when I criticise recruitment, he said, "Well, yeah, but you've got to upgrade people." And Cass, I think, have salary capped themselves out of the competition because they were terrified that an Adam Milner would leave or a McShane would leave. You offer them the big deal, and they haven't been at that level.
And
McShane was 7.5 rather than 8.5 out of 10. Not a major thing, but it is a major thing because he's a heartbeat while they play. And I just wonder now if they're going to have a bit of a fallow time because they need to get some players off the books. And I think they need it. I was amazed. Maybe shouldn't be amazed when Darryl Powell re-signed. I thought Darryl Powell might have looked for another gig because I'll say it again, and he said it on the way home. That's cast done. 2017 when they lost, he went. That's them. They'll never get here again.
Tom's
I'm like,
disbanded you both.
I'm you biased bloody Wakefield son. But he was right. He was right. And Darryl Powell built a team to win it. And it should have won it, and it didn't win it.
Yeah.
And that team, ever so slowly now, is being pulled apart.
That's the key point. Is that team reached its peak, and does he now have to rip it up and rebuild it?
I think he does. I think he does.
Millington, how long is he? Well, had a great career, but is he?
Yeah, that's what I mean about the pack.
No.
And I would dare say
Junior Moore's. It's been a long while since he's been back to his best.
I also think as well that Jake Truman came from the Bradford Academy. Danish Richardson's come from the Saints Academy. One thing Casford have got to do is,
Callum McConnell.
The Cass Academy team, as in the school Cass Academy, is still dominating the age groups, but there don't seem to be as many young Castleford players coming through the ranks at Cass. And
there's
I think
a couple there. Jack O'Neill.
No, there are a couple, but they've got to play at some point. You've got to start rebuilding a team a little bit around them.
I'm just laughing at something else. But Maureen does say never write off the Tigers.
No, potentially. The question I have about Cass, even when they were brilliant, is they didn't win big games, and now they're not as brilliant. Are they even going to get to the big game? I revised my opinion. I think they could be in for a long season. I think they'll be in the bottom four.
They need to start off with a bang, and that meant having all of their best players fit and on board, and to be starting with half a dozen injuries before game one, it's just going to make it so difficult.
That's a worry.
You and Matt Shaw's got a big nines. So.
Has it? There you go.
Before I forget, congratulations to Bolton Nets, who are approaching their 25th season this season. They've got a nice kit, and they're sponsored by Betfred, so they've failed, I'm sad to say, in trying to sign Sonnyville Williams. But thanks there for getting in touch. And I did remember to read it out, which makes a change. So good luck to Bolton Nets this year in their 25th anniversary season.
Good. What about the Dragons? We've not mentioned them. How do we think they're going to go?
Israel Dragons?
Well, sources suggest he could be coming to Super League, but let's plan on that not being the case. Maloney is here.
Yeah. And he is going to make a difference. If he's fit,
he should.
It strikes me, again, having spoken to him a little bit, but seen him and what he's saying at the launch, that he really could be the key for them. No team is a one-man team, but he could do for Catalan what Jackson Hastings did for Salford last year. That he is the sort of guy that is the absolute competitor in the middle of the field that they need, that he's going to not be frightened to tell Sam Cassiano
he'll be sledging the opposition and his own teammates all game.
And he is the kind of bloke that, not single-handedly, but in concert with a Sam Tompkins, can get over this travel issue, because he's not going to accept that.
He played for the Warriors.
Yeah, but he's not going to
accept
that.
So he travelled from New Zealand to North Queensland and Melbourne. And
you're a professional rugby player. It doesn't matter where we're playing. It doesn't matter if we get on a plane to go to. He will not accept that it's acceptable. That the Dragons cannot win away from home.
That's the issue with them. It's a cultural thing, and they have to.
He is doing that though, isn't he? By bringing on all these, Tompkins, McAlorum's already there.
Yeah.
But are they addressing that? I think they are, aren't they?
They've always had good foreign players, though, haven't they?
I only
from
have
Steve
one.
Menzies to Stacey Jones, but it's the local players that really have to.
I only have
buy in
one
as
worry
well.
though, that we're losing the local players. That there are some still around the squad who will have a significant impact, like a Remy Casti, who was the captain. But the heart of that French team isn't French anymore. Now that might be because Steve McNamara, as you say, has taken the decision that if I have too many French people, then we run the risk of deciding when we're going to play, and we'll be brilliant at home, but we won't be bothering getting on. So he's
got to
a
win
of
games.
players.
I mean, he's not the national team coach of France,
Yeah,
which has a lot of issues as an aside. But he's got to get them winning, and with that team, I mean, I think I've tipped them for 5th. But if Maloney, he could be man of steel. I think they've got the potential to go all the way. But again, the Cannons, it's always potential, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But McNamara has been backed. We thought at one point he was going to get the old tin tack. He's been backed. New contracts, new players, big spends. Got to make the playoffs, haven't they? Got to.
they have to be in and around making the playoffs. I don't know whether they'll. And they're a candidate for a 5th spot. But again, it goes back to what does the competition want? Does it value having a team in the south of France?
Well, they're going to be on the telly.
Well, yes, some of them are. But that's a really interesting point as well. What we forget is that one of the things that Robert Elston was pointing out that last season had been such a successful season was the attendance at Barcelona. That was solely down to the Dragons winning the Challenge Cup and capitalising on that.
We're going to never get out with this year then.
Are we?
Exactly, because this is rugby league, isn't it? Well, the Roosters are on their way through to playing the World Cup Challenge.
I was getting excited then. I actually thought you knew something that I didn't know.
Sadly not.
I think no Wakefield was signing Romain Navarrete this morning.
Oh, well,
You did. You read my
You
Twitter.
should have asked me. I'd have told you.
But so I think that we need to make sure that Catalan are adding an extra dimension to Super League, and I think that means that they need to be challenging for the playoffs. They need to not be the also.
And they need to be challenging for the grand final.
They
not
were
the
last
playoffs.
year.
They need to be winning.
But I think
they need to be winning trophies.
I think. Well, they have won a trophy. They now need to be
They
competitive.
need to win the big trophy.
But I don't know if you go from where they were to winning a trophy. I think you go from where they were to being in the playoffs,
You've got
and
James
then see
Maloney,
where it takes you. If you've got people
two-time
fit-
NRL grand final, Origin player, Kangaroo. You've got Sam Tompkins.
Yeah.
What? He's one man still, hasn't he? You know.
But they could do a Salford. They could get in the playoffs and be a Salford. But the first thing they need to do is get in the playoffs.
Oh, mate. You can't compare them to Salford. No way.
No, what Salford did in the playoffs. But once they got there...
With an extra 2 million on
They're expected to be there, mate. They're expected
Well, they
to
are
be
now.
there. Anything other than in the top 5 is a failure.
Yep.
With the money they've spent, it's a failure.
James Maloney could have an advantage in the Man of Steel race because I don't know how many legends they have in France who pick their...
Yeah, what they're going to do if the game's on telly.
Yeah.
Send Scully over.
The interesting thing you
And
mentioned
how the
about
papers can
telly
report on their games in France
is that
if they're not on the telly.
it looks as though
That's a
all
great
of their
point.
games aren't going to be.
He says
But some of their games are. So somebody's making the decision of which games are more important than others.
So basically,
But
you're
all
saying
games
this,
should be
this
equal,
Saturday's
shouldn't
game against Huddersfield
Is
This
most
is
not important.
Rugby
because
league
it's
is not socialism. It's not communism.
Well, we like to think we are, though, don't we? We're the most democratic sport out there.
Bob Mills used to say it on Fighting Talk. When Fighting Talk was good. See, I've not come here for a lesson in communism.
You mentioned the Huddersfield Giants. For a minute, I said this to Simon Wolford on the video you can watch at 40.
No, you didn't do it on video.
I didn't do it on video. I didn't do it on video.
Just make up your quotes. No.
No, just
Hey,
seriously.
watch us. Hello, Simon.
Yeah, he does. And I said to him, I think the Giants have been handicapped in previous years by poor recruitment, and now it feels you've got a bit of salary cap to work with, you've gone out and you've signed some good players. And Caesar, by all accounts, outstanding even in friendlies. But
They've always
outstanding.
spent the cap though.
Yeah, but they're spending badly.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's not
It's not like they haven't
you
splashed the
mentioned
cash.
Toronto. You look at the
That
Giants squad. There's a lot of young lads in there,
Mm.
and yet they're still spending. And this comes back to they signed Uati, who never played, arrived injured,
Terrible.
never
Terrible
played,
sign.
didn't even need him.
That was no
The kids
play
that
for
play,
Newcastle.
the kids
Some
that
fidget.
played on the wing were perfectly
for
good
me,
enough
yeah.
anyway. So they've
Oh,
gone
yeah.
out. They needed a half, but they've gone out and they have
Yeah.
bust the bank to get one. Pretty much.
They did last year, and the choice that they made was the wrong choice in Matt Fraud.
Yeah,
So
But they've gone out and
they've
they've
learned from
rectified
that.
that.
Yeah, they've got
gone
their
out.
first marquee player.
I think Cruz leaving is a bit of a
He
loss.
is a big loss, and I don't
Because he's
think
basically said, "I want to go."
had they had the chance. But if he said he wanted to go, there's not a lot as a club.
True.
You could keep him, but you know what? Get rid. If you don't want to be there, get rid of him. You know, and that is going to be an interesting conundrum for them. But I think that Kenny Edwards, had his issues off the field. We're hoping he's going to be all right. What's that? What are you on about?
Against Warrington?
I don't know what you're on about.
To the crowd. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Inside.
Let's look. Great player when he's on this. Hopefully, he just keeps his head on the.
Well, we saw when he came to Catalans in the run of the cup.
Yeah,
he was good.
Yeah, he's a talented player. He's a talented player. Hopefully, he keeps.
The problem they've got with Kenny Edwards is they've lost Alex Mellor, who was ultra reliable, and they've replaced him with Kenny Edwards, who is ultra unpredictable. If they get the right Kenny Edwards, it's a good sign.
Alex Mellor's a decent player, but you're not going to bust the bank to get him.
One thing that I think Huddersfield are going in the right direction is that they now have some young kids who have a year's experience. Darnell McIntosh should be a better player this year.
Is he going to be on the wing?
No, I think with Ashton Golden being injured, he's now going to be a fullback.
Yeah, but no, he's not. By his own admission, he's not. Yeah. You stick him on the wing and get you 20 tries.
I think he's a good player. He's just not a fullback.
He'll get 20 tries. I've no doubt about that.
But I think Huddersfield's are starting to be on that curve that's going upwards.
Yeah, I do.
So that even though for me there is still an issue about the depth of their squad. I think we've said it numerous occasions. It was about 4 or 5 years ago they got rid of 7 top line players and only bought in a couple, and they're still hampered by that. That if you look through their outside of their top 17, there are still some gaps there. But what they have got are some youngsters that are coming in and filling those gaps. They'll take a bit of time. They'll be better for the senior brothers. Will be better. Wardle,
the young Wardle,
will be better for the experience.
They need
playing in a relegation battle.
They need some luck with injuries as well.
Yeah.
They need a Salford run. But my argument is, I'm looking at their squad now. You go down to number, I'd say, you go all the way down to 25. They've all got a lot of Super League. I think the squad's a little bit stronger than I thought it was. Yeah. But I'm with you. They need luck with injuries. They need to keep keeping on, and losing Golding early on is a blow.
And Caesar's a good player. If he plays well, they can do some damage.
I think they will be the surprise. I'm not saying they're going to do a Salford and get to the final, but I think they may surprise.
They've got the potential to make a 5.
If he can make a partnership with Gaskell, that could be really important for him.
Hail Caesar.
Exactly.
Well, see,
we'll get bored of that.
The thing about Maloney is he's got the track record, but he's 32.
Yeah, I think 33.
So there is a chance that he won't play the full season because his body won't allow him to.
He's not used to playing this many games.
Well, Caesar's coming off getting his team to a grand final. He's at the absolute peak of his career. To get him over is a coup, and I don't think enough has been made of that. Because he isn't Sonny Bill Williams, but he could be the signing that absolutely galvanises a team in the way that Hastings did last year.
Yeah.
He's a good signing. He's a great signing.
He is.
And presumably Wolford being an ex Canberra player
Raider
helped bring him over.
We had a year to go on his contract came, but obviously George Williams was coming in and they were trying to usher him out, but I think he had interest in the Brisbane Broncos. He's come to Huddersfield, so great for Huddersfield.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the Championship at some point because people are saying, why are you talking about the Championship? Andy says it's going to be a great league this year as everyone's playing to get 5th because we tipped everyone to finish 5th so far.
Have we mentioned Holcare and Wakefield?
We're going to mention them now.
But we don't mind if everybody's fighting to be 5th because I'd rather that the focus was on who might make the playoffs and who's going to get relegated.
Well, that was the relegation. It was the relegation battle, wasn't it?
Yeah. So if we've got 7 clubs that can finish 5th, great.
Yeah.
You talk about Wakefield while I look and see who's.
Well, we're going to talk. We need to talk about. We'll talk about Hull KR. I said midway through last season, if they didn't finish bottom last year, they will this year, and I do believe that to be the case. Devastating news, Mossy Masoi. Continued thoughts with him. Hopefully, he gets well as soon as possible. It's going to be a long process, I think. They've brought in massive numbers of players.
20 players.
They've lost. You look
15, I think. They lost.
Craig Hall, Kainos, all right, they're not wanted clearly because he's got rid of them.
Maguire's retired.
Maguire's retired, Lunt's gone, Joel Tompkins is
Drinkwater.
gone, James Greenwood's gone. Chris Atkin, who I just never understood why he didn't get more game time. Danny Addy's gone. They've lost some okay players. They've brought in some okay players, but they've lost. Obviously, Garbut's knee's a problem. Great player when he plays, doesn't play enough, and that's
Parcells'
his
shoulders
body, not
got
him.
to.
Parcells.
Well, he's banned, isn't he, for the first 2 or
Yeah,
3
first 2 games, I think.
So he's another. Obviously, Masoi.
Haraki,
I understand they were
injured for months.
Yeah, Hadley.
And then Hadley.
So if you take out Hadley, Masoi, and
they're in your first choice 17.
and
and
Haraki,
Haraki.
they
That's
start
half-
every week.
that-
They
Three
start
weeks
every
ago,
week.
3
Yeah.
weeks ago, I thought they'll have a tough year. They won't finish bottom
Yeah.
after those 3 injuries.
Yeah.
I've tipped
I
them.
just think it'll be
I've tipped
tough.
them
I
for
think
bottom.
it'll be tough,
Yeah.
and I think
That front row.
I think you'll
that
get
pack
teams
now,
that'll go just to bash them up because I don't think they've got the size that they need.
It's a really important game for them at home against Wakefield. Another team with 5 or 6 injuries.
Well, Wakey went there 2 years ago on the opening night of the season and battered them 30 points to 4. They went there last year when Wakey hadn't won in about 3 years and battered them in a must-win game.
The thing is with those injuries, Haraki and Hadley, you go, oh, that's bad. We'll get them back at some point. But the thing with the Mossy Masoe, that's not a normal occurrence,
No.
He might not walk again. That's the sort of thing that not cripples, but hopefully it doesn't, but it just impacts everyone.
Yeah.
It puts everyone on a
Well, we
downer.
spoke to Tony Smith in some detail, on and off the record, and he was good enough to tell us, said it's been really tough for him.
Well,
I think
you evaluate
the one
life,
saving
don't you,
grace,
when
if-
something like
yeah,
that happens.
exactly.
Yeah,
The one
it's
saving
more
grace is it
important
happened
just
before the season rather than in it,
I think
because I think that would have been even worse.
the other saving grace I think they've got is Tony Smith.
Yeah.
Because
That's a good
I had
point.
quite a long chat with him.
Yeah, I know. We were waiting for you to
At the
finish.
launch.
Yeah,
And
about 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
You're writing his
well,
autobiography.
I had to find out how his snake was doing. The got a pet snake.
Is that a euphemism?
No, he's got.
Okay.
He hasn't.
Come on.
Pet snake. He didn't have to take that challenge on. His
No,
original agreement with Hull
Moving to Hull as well. Moving to Hull.
Yeah.
I'm there
Yeah.
for 3
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
I'm here to save you from relegation. I'm not that enamoured with rugby league unless it can prove to me that it's changed a little bit. And he has signed up for the long term. And I think he's keen to build something, which is why he's had
Yeah.
all these changes of personnel. And I don't think he's. I think what will be in terms of their league position, but he's got some philosophies about the club and what the club needs to be if it's sustainable. You ally that to they're going to buy their ground and the future of Hull KR, whether they get relegated or
And
not
their own
this year.
academy.
He's actually pretty good.
No, it is.
And
It
it
is.
is
And
one
they've
of
got an
those
owner who
occasions.
puts his hands in his pocket.
Yeah, it's one of those
Well, the problem
occasions.
is, if they get relegated, mate, it's
Yeah.
going to be a big ass.
Oh no, it
And
will.
everyone that came out and to be fair, I think they're a better club for going down
Yeah.
because of the spot it
The way
brought.
they
everyone.
handled it
But
was
I
amazing.
think
Yeah,
they
it was.
realise
But
now.
I don't think you can do that again.
I think they could with
I'm not so sure.
because I think they're putting the things in place that guarantee their future, and Tony Smith is one of them.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So yes, they may well go down. They've got a terrible start to the season with even picking a competitive 17.
Well, the problem as well,
straight
we're
from the
losing like
off.
Hadley and Iraqi, who I would have thought would have played a lot of minutes.
Well,
Iraqi's
Haraki
the
was going to be the
captain.
captain.
Yeah, but what? It knacks up your bench. Your interchanges.
Yeah.
Can people come in and play? It's
And
going to
missing
be hard work.
Parcell for the first
I'm
2
with
games.
you. I think if they lose to Wakey, they're in for some pain.
They've also not arguably got a
Well, they've got
standout half.
Wholesome week as well, haven't they?
They've got 5 halfbacks there, sort of equal.
Yeah.
Probably Abdul's maybe the one from
He'll
last season.
start,
He'll
yeah,
start, but then you've got Ryan Brearley, you've got Jamie Ellis, you've got Micah Lewis, and someone else who's known.
Keys.
Joe Keys, yeah. So
Who's injured? They've all got
Yeah.
a point to prove. But if everybody's got a point to prove, that makes it makes
quite a
you need leaders out there.
there's a number of guys from Bradford who are obviously with a point to prove, but are they ready to
Well,
play Super League?
and will
week
they
in,
end
week
up
out?
even playing first team? Because I think they'll be either forming the core of the reserve side or moving out back on loan. I think that
They won't be going on loan at the moment.
the future,
Full team.
looked brighter than the present for me for Hull KR.
That's a fair comment.
I think they may well.
I
go
think
down.
they have learned mistakes of the past couple of
Short-term
years,
planning,
and they are looking more long term. But it's a brave man that does that.
It is a
I
brave
think, as Mark says, you take out. So what is the salary cap this year? 2.1 million. And
if
what,
you've
what,
got all the exemptions.
and what do you get in the championship?
Yeah.
500. Like
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the thing.
look,
That all that goes
Neil
to jeopardy
Udjoe
for
is
you.
back. You know, I know we Rob Cosson before him, but Neil bankrolled it last year, and he's an ardent fan, and he puts his money probably above where his mouth is. Fair play to him for that, but
I think,
he must be. I wonder if they've had that chat. We're going to do this, but it may result in.
But
that.
I think also that's
It's
why
a
they're
tough
buying
one.
the grounds. They've got an asset then. He
Yes.
as the owner has an. If they were to go down against that asset, you can borrow enough money to get back up again.
Yeah.
And one
I think they'd be all right. If they
I think
went
one
down.
of their biggest assets is also the fan base
Mm.
because they get.
Do you think? I don't think it is.
I think it is
I
because
don't
they
think
get
it is.
7. You
You
look at
think-
last
you
year.
think it's if they're going well.
You go there last year when they
I
needed
went.
wins.
I went a lot.
Is that Screamers then?
Wakefield crowd went silent. I think that's a tough home environment. And it's great when they're winning. When they're not winning,
what
I
I
think
mean
it's
is,
a
I
hindrance.
think they get 7,000-8,000 no matter if they're. You know what I mean? And they travel in numbers like they did in the championship. They turn up.
So
It may,
financial.
the atmosphere may go down, but yeah, they turn up week in week out because they haven't been battling in the top half of the Super League for how long, but they still turn up in big numbers.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I
Yeah.
think it can be a bit. I thought they struggled at home last year.
I think there was a lot of nerves.
You know,
Yeah,
you look at that
yeah.
performance they put in at Leeds,
Well, I
and
also-
you think, wow, but we never saw that at home.
I also think that last year they underestimated London, as did a lot of people.
Yeah, maybe.
They just thought there's a patsy in the division.
Well, St Helens did, didn't they?
If we tread water and finish one place
Oh,
above
don't start
London,
Sid off on that one.
Come on.
we're safe. But I don't think you can do that this year. I don't
Leeds
think-
all week you were talking about now.
Can I just say, Tony Smith had far better things to be doing on Friday than sitting around speaking to everyone, but he stayed and spoke to everyone, which some clubs didn't do, so well done to Tony Smith for that. And two, Wella Haraki, what have we done?
Oh yeah, he's
He's
blocked
blocked us.
40, wasn't he?
Has he?
I mean, some people who blocked us on Twitter,
Oh,
I'm
I-
glad to see the back of us, can't stand them, but I've never had any interaction with Wella Haraki. I'm just popping off to get something, but I'll be back.
No, it's coming back. Well, we'll talk in his absence. We'll talk about Wakefield then. Wakefield, after a poor year last year by their own high standards of recent times, they've had a bit of an injury crisis. They've gone out and brought in Romain Navarrete on a season-long loan. Was that today?
Yes.
It was announced today.
Yeah.
So that's good news for them. They've brought in some interesting players. Alex Walker, we know, is going to be out for a while. Joe Westerman, I like Westerman. Pitts, solid. Green, I like. Tangata, solid. Wood, Brad Walker, Ryan Atkins, and Kalepi Tangano was there anyway, wasn't he? And I don't think they've lost too many. They would have been, with the best will in the world, overly worried to lose. I think they've lost who they wanted to lose rather than.
And also big key, Tom Johnson
Yes,
coming back, and
coming
Bill
back.
Tupu,
Yes.
who didn't play much last year,
So
and Matty Ashurst. I presume.
I think they're gonna. I think they'll be all right. Wakefield.
I think they will. I mean, I tipped them, I think, top 5 or top 6 last year, so they're really disappointed. And I think their recruitment's been quite good. It's just, again, you start the season with 5 or 6 injuries, most of them.
Yeah.
Well, Alex Walker was surely the starting fullback. I know
Yeah.
they've got 3 options there, but
Yeah.
and then you've got 4 front rowers.
Yeah, but they should be back in 2 to 3 weeks. He said, Chester. So they're hoping some of them will be back. So
Fafita, where's he at?
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's $1 million question.
Yeah,
I think if you can find out, let Chris Chester know. He'd be happy to know.
and
But
Danny Bruff.
I think
Is
that's
he
the
still, you know, is he
contract
still,
year, he'll play well.
But I think that's
surely
the
he's
key.
last year? Be
Um,
36?
when he arrived, they'd finished 5th the 2 previous years, and we said that's the catalyst that they need to make sure that they're consistently hitting that playoff mark. And it didn't really. Him and Jacob Miller, it didn't quite
No.
happen certainly on a consistent basis.
Not like
They
he did
each
with Liam
individually
Finn.
had the odd
Yeah.
good game, but as a partnership,
But again, though, they had a lot of
they
injuries.
did.
Yeah.
A
They
lot of
did.
That
injuries.
left edge was
A lot of
decimated.
people who shouldn't have been playing were playing, and you just get found out.
Yeah.
You get found out, and good players can't play. You know, you mentioned I think Truman playing behind that
Mhm.
pack. You know, it's same for them, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I think Tangano was a good signing for them. I think he gave them the boost that they
Yeah.
needed.
He looked really impressive.
Yeah, he's a good player.
And again, a full pre-season is going to benefit him.
Where do we think they'll finish?
In the bottom 4, but not in danger of
Yeah.
relegation.
Yeah, I think I agree with Phil. I don't think they'll be relegated, but I think they'll.
I think they'll be 5 to 8 somewhere there. If they stay injury free, I think they'll be nearer the 5 than the bottom.
You've got to win the treble. Buy your tickets now.
Right, okay.
Some seats.
What you should have said, available at Wakefield Street, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I heard you were a poor lad, Rich.
Right. Well, we've only got one left to discuss, and I guess we have to discuss them.
Tangano's going to be in the dream team, by the way.
Okay. Leeds. All Leeds are we.
Leeds.
They have signed Luke Gale. Gamble that could pay off spectacularly, I think.
Done alright in pre-season, played a lot of game time and not suffered any injuries.
I think the worry about Luke Gale, also my sources suggest, is that they expect him to find it more difficult when the pitch is firm up, given the injuries that he's had. So I think
He's developed the knack of taking the ball to the line and moving it on rather than actually being caught in possession. I've noticed that a little bit in pre-season, so that might.
He's a good player. He's a very good player. He's not played for 2 years.
I can make a case for Leeds being a top 5 challenger, and everybody on social media say, "Well, you would say that, wouldn't you?"
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you, Phil?
But if
I'm just going to tweet that.
if they can keep Luke Gale on the park, and if they can keep their new captain Stevie Ward on the park, then they have got threats down the left and the right. So you've got the Gale, Ward, Horrell, Handley.
Is Ward going to stay fit?
Well,
hopefully.
No. You don't wish injury
the
over,
last 2
yeah,
seasons he did, they won the Grand Final. But he was fit for virtually all of those seasons. So
did he get injured once?
he got right at the end of the
Great.
17, but he played a lot of that year.
Oh, he's a great player.
Down the right, I think Reece Martin has been there.
He's been a great
He's
signing.
been there signing, and because he was signed last season and not over the close season, he is still virtually a new
Look what
player.
he did. Sorry to mention it, but against Great Britain,
Absolutely.
and Paul Monsby, captain of the Cougars.
Can I just pour some cold water on that?
Oh, of course you can. And then Cruz leaving as and when he comes into the team. I think they are, like Huddersfield, are on an upward cycle.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And I do think the Gale. I understand why Cass let him go.
Yes.
And I understand why Leeds have bought him. So I think it potentially could be a great signing. The one worry I have about Leeds is their forward pack. I don't think it's big enough.
It is now with Simanafan and Pryor. I would have agreed with you last year.
No, that's 2 prop forwards. You need
And
4.
Aledzki. I think you've got 3 there. And then you've got Dom Crosby, who may or may not ever come back.
Cuthbertson, he's
He's
best
getting
in the world.
But
He's getting on.
but he's
not
playing
quite
off-
as effective.
Well, he is off the bench. I think the other person to watch out for this year, if Gale is fit, is Jack Walker. So I think you'll see another dimension to Jack Walker's game in the same way that Hardacre came on at Castleford.
Very, very young, very good defensive. I like him, Walker. There's a weakness to his game.
It's his
Is his
passing
attacking
game.
player.
Yes.
But he's a young kid, and that will
But I
happen by
think
playing.
with Luke Gale
I get
telling
that.
him where
I
he
can,
needs to be.
I can understand that.
But
I'm
think-
with you. I think they'll do all right, but I'm just not sure they've
what I
got the
will
tools
say-
to do.
Apart from
as well as
Horrell, have they got enough in the outside backs?
No,
on the
and that's
wings
why
and-
they're looking at bolstering that.
At Dryfield.
But I still think that one thing they will do this year is play entertaining rugby.
Yeah.
And I think over at least 3 of the last 4 years they haven't.
So you think they'll run round rather than run through?
I think that's what they'll try and do.
Yeah.
That should be a good styles clash then on Sunday.
And I think that people will warm to that. The Leeds fans will warm to that. And as we saw, Headingley Full is a pretty imposing place.
Oh, that is the best rugby league venue in this country by a
Best
mile,
rugby
by
stadium
an
in the country.
absolute mile. But no doubt about that.
And it's been a millstone
Pitch is awful.
for 2 years, but it might be a benefit this year. So
Yeah.
I'm obviously biased, but I actually think that they can challenge for 5th.
I couldn't rule that out.
Which would be a significant improvement on where they were.
Yeah. What do you think, John? Are you with that or not?
Yeah, I don't think they
I've
will
got
make
7
the
for my
5.
little
Yeah, I
piece
think
of
about 7th is about right.
Yeah.
I think they've got the potential, and obviously if Gale clicks, they could make the 5. But I think they're still. They are still rebuilding.
Still a
I think
work in
Richard Ager, when
progress.
I asked him, he said, I'd say we're more evolving than
Yeah.
rebuilding. But the fact that they got Martin in and Louis in last year,
Lou is
you know,
important.
and they're bringing some of these kids through. They've got some
That's
good,
the thing.
yeah. But that's going to take time. You're not going to
The-
start,
the-
top 3.
The interesting one is Cruz leaving, because if he comes
Yeah.
back after maybe 3 to 4 weeks, they've said he's
Is he
out.
not just the same as Dwyer?
No, I think he's a
all
different.
round he's
Yeah,
probably.
I think Dwyer's a bit.
I'm not so sure.
I don't think Dwyer's a starting hooker. Someone I think he can.
And
be an impact player
how
off the
much
bench.
of Leeming's success is built on O'Brien's industry and work rate? Because to me it seemed that he used to do all the donkey work,
But
and
I
Leeming
think
came
we-
on and
I
did
think
all
we-
the
Leeming
strong-
I
was
think
playing
with
at
the
England
likes-
Knights. You know, I think Leeming's got more.
But with the
Potential
likes
more
of
levels to
Mellor
go.
and Ward in front of him, he's got his workhorses. I think he'll get the space to play. I think Myler may still go if somebody's desperate for bringing somebody in because of their injury crisis, but Myler has been exemplary. He's going to be
Can he
used
play
as
in the front row?
No, he's a
Like,
backup hooker. And 40 minutes he showed at Wigan the other week, he can handle that role.
Well, so who's not playing then?
Well,
Leeming.
Leeming to start with.
but when
Well,
all fit, who's going to?
We'll see. And they've got people like Callum McClellan who may go out on loan, but he's going to learn from having the likes of Luke Gale there. So I think there is.
He had a really
Callum
good spell
McClellan.
at Featherstone. So,
Callum McClellan is not going to play for Leeds.
He'll play
unless one
some
of them
games
gets
for
injured.
Leeds. He'll play some
I'm
games.
going
No,
to
it
enjoy.
No, it won't. It won't.
I told you Harry Newman this time last year. Nobody believed me. He ended
No,
up
did he
playing
play the
virtually
year
all of the
before?
season. Callum McClellan is the next cab off the rank.
What about Corey Johnson?
Callum
Is he
McClellan.
gonna?
Yeah.
Hold on,
maybe
so
not.
hold on,
maybe
hold
not for
on,
this
hold
year.
on a minute, right? So they're paying Louis whatever they're paying Louis. They're paying Luke Gale whatever they're paying Luke Gale a significant amount of money.
No,
Richie
They are
Moylan-
going to play if they're fit. They are going to play
They're
every
not going
week.
to play every game
They will.
because of the age there.
Richie
They're
Moylan-
both on the
They're
wrong
not
side of the
gonna play
30. I
every
don't think they'll play every game. I think Phil's right.
But I think they need to nurse Louis, and they know that. But he will play more games than he doesn't, but he won't play every game. And I think Gale will be rested at points in the season.
Fair enough.
Is Richie Moylan going to be playing alongside Deck Patton in Purgatory somewhere?
What
Have
are
we
they?
got
Are
next-
they in League One?
Have we got
I
next-
don't
next
know.
question?
Opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
What's got-
When's your team in League
New
One?
York.
This team.
Purgatory Wildcats.
Red Star Belgrade will play Purgatory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Likely to be in there before New York and Ottawa, despite what you read in the paper.
Anyway, by
In
the way,
Liechtenstein.
I've bought a ticket to go watch a game. I'm going to go watch York Bradford in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
Is
Especially there were a bit of biff yesterday.
Is that the New
Yeah.
Before the
York?
lights went out. No, it's at the old one. Be like going back.
Dewsbury?
Bootham Crescent.
No,
What's
no.
what?
No, they're playing at York.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go. I'm looking forward to it.
That'll be good.
Yeah,
That'll be
I really
I
am
think-
looking forward. I've not been as a fan. Genuinely, I haven't been to a game as a fan for a
Are
long
you
time.
supporting the New Bradford Bulls?
No, I'm like Ralph.
The
Remember
new-
Ralph?
the new
Remember
New
Ralph
Bradford
found that
Bulls.
one Bradford fan.
Who went to
Yeah,
Hull Care?
I'm just gonna go watch. I'm gonna go watch.
New
You're a
It was
fan of the
very-
sport.
I'm a fan. I'm paying my money. I'm gonna go
Well-
watch. See if all this York hoo-has what it lives up to.
I think it will be a more difficult season for York this year. But again,
They had some good
They've
recruitment.
recruited
Chris
really
Clarkson,
well.
Jimmy
Done
Connors.
some great recruitment.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
forget.
But I think they're a wanted team this year.
Yeah. Second season syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can they cope with it? We'll see.
Don't forget, you do need to behave in a manner that is not violent, harmful, or abusive. The use of foul or abusive language will not be tolerated. That's in the official rules for media personnel in
Oh,
the
is it?
league. So interesting how we have those rules.
Obviously,
and we
I am
follow them.
banned.
we have those rules, but spectators don't.
Yeah. Accredited persons agree to adhere to the following guidelines. Without events.
I won't be wearing my pass, you know.
Why does it matter? You at the
What
events?
about the
thinking a few
championship
ales.
then? Because we haven't got long.
Fev.
Well, we haven't, because we've
In
got
fact, we haven't got long.
Well, we'll do the championship next
Fair.
week. Go on, then who are we going for?
Fev.
Fev?
Fev.
And don't mourn, we haven't done it. We'll do it next week. We'll
Yeah.
give it the respect it deserves. What about you? Wait, even
That's
the
what I said.
predictions.
Come on about everyone else's
Wait, even the
podcasts.
predictions.
There's a billion bloody
Disastrous.
podcasts.
No, we can do an extra 5 minutes on predictions.
Oh, there's a salary cap to be adhered to here.
Well,
Right, I don't get paid
Oh,
all
we
the
haven't
time.
shocked
I'm off.
Extra
And
time.
we haven't spoken about Matt Diskin's thing in the paper because people want us to talk about it. I don't know what we can talk about. He said some things. The RFL have said other things.
Yeah.
It's a complicated story.
Yeah.
It's a complicated.
You'd like to think an agreement could have been worked out where
We've only
Yeah.
got we've only got one side fully of the story. In
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah.
Whatever the RFL
I don't
say in
think
these
talking about it for
situations-
2 minutes is the right thing to do.
No, whatever the RFL do in any situation is going to be deemed by some people to be wrong, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
And we don't know the full story.
No, we don't. Going back to the championship, who are you? Do you-
Toulouse.
Yeah, I think that.
London,
London. Wow.
Danny
Seriously?
Ward, Super Danny Ward.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I think he'll have them in the 5. I'm not sure they'll have enough to win it. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong because I want London in Super League.
The other thing is,
Absolutely.
if it is Toulouse, then what the hell is the competition going to do about having 3 teams that are?
But that'll be alright because Toronto are going to get relegated. I know they're not. I didn't say that.
And our big news, because we haven't mentioned it yet, big sponsorship
Yeah,
deal,
yeah.
that 4020 TV is signed. We will be seen in the Women's Super League next season.
We will. Yeah. Is that all we're going to say?
Yeah.
Right. We're doing his predictions.
We'll do them quick.
We'll do them quick.
Because the other thing is, there's no form
Where's the
line
fixtures?
anyway, so we might as well just.
I don't know, somewhere in the middle.
Wigan v Warrington Thursday night.
Right. Go on then, John. You're on it.
The Anthony Gallen derby.
The man of the people, Wigan by 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wigan by 6.
I think Wigan will win. I'm going Wigan by 8.
2 8s to 6. I'll go Wigan by 6.
Okay. Friday, Hull Cow Wakefield.
That's a really interesting and an emotional one.
I'm gonna say Wakefield by 4 with no confidence whatsoever.
Hull Cow and Golden Point extra time.
Forgot about that.
Is that still on? Is that still a thing? Do I have to say Wakefield every week? Wakefield by 12.
I'm gonna go against my better judgment for Hull Cow.
Got a bang
I think Hull Cow have got to win this
anymore.
week. I'm not sure they will, but I think they've got to win. St Salford.
Yeah, Saints. 12.
Saints by 20.
Oh, who are you, Gary Schofield?
No, I just think they want to make a statement and week one.
Come on.
I'm just waiting to see Gemma Carter. See your source. Saints by 8. That's not what I'm going to put on the emails tonight.
I can't. I'm not going for Salford. I'm like Q. Oh yeah, Salford.
Yeah, but every time we don't go for Salford,
I think
they win.
Saints want to hit the ground running. The champions at home, big night.
UK.
Saints by 14. Right. Also in action, Catalans against Huddersfield.
That is a tough one too, because Huddersfield have been in really good form in pre-season for what that's worth. But Catalans at home, I'm going to take them by 2.
Yeah. They've not. I don't think they've got a great record recently against Huddersfield. I seem to remember Huddersfield having a couple of really good performances in the south. Catalan by 10.
Steve McNamara doesn't watch this programme. Simon Walford does. Huddersfield were good last week at Wakefield. Huddersfield by 6.
Yeah, I think Huddersfield will win. I'm going to go Huddersfield by 2. On Sunday, the double header at Headingley. I will be there. Leeds Hull.
Hull by 6.
I think that's the game of the round. 2 new teams, both with everything to prove. I think Hull by 4.
Black and Whites by 8.
Yeah, I think Hull will hit the ground running. Be interesting what the pitch is like. Because they play after thingy. I'm going to go Hull by 4. I think it'd be tight. Toronto against Castleford.
I think before the injury cloud at Castleford, I would have picked them, but I'm gonna go the Wolfpack. Wolfpack by 4.
Repeat of the game last week.
They defend 2 weeks ago. I was at that game. They defended really, really well. Castleford had enough chances to win the game, but Burrow's defence won that game, so it's got them well drilled. Brian McDermott.
I'm gonna go Cass in Golden Point extra time through Danny Richards.
Well, really cock
Got
up
some
points, wasn't it?
Sonny Bill with the drop goal.
Comes off the bench, drops a goal.
I don't want to put anything on it, but I really do need to go for a win. Because you were real.
Well, just because it'd upset people.
Yes.
Toronto by 1.
I think Toronto will win. I do think Toronto will win. I
Upset
think
people.
this game, the injuries are coming at a bad time. Big injuries as well for Cass. I think the Wolfpack, like Hull Cow, have got to hit the ground running.
Well, I
They need to
think
pick
if
up
they
wins.
get points on the ball
It'd be a
early,
good,
it
be
takes the
good,
pressure
good
off.
story
Yeah.
debut, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I will go for Toronto by 7. Gareth
that-
O'Brien to drop a
The
goal.
first time Brian McDermott's been back at
Yes.
Henley since he got sacked.
It has.
So,
Right, I
you'll
really
have
need to
some
go to the loo now,
motivation.
so we're going. I am busted. Right, okay. Thanks
Callum
everyone. We'll be back next
Professionalism.
week. Yeah,
We're
exactly.
getting Will Perry in next week.
Well, there you go then. There you go. Is he under the salary cap?
Probably
Don't
not.
think he'd come here and work for what I get.
No, they have a bottle under the counter.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks to John, thanks to Phil, thanks to Rich. Thanks to you for watching. Subscribe, like, leave us some feedback. Get stuck in. We do not dislike anybody. And we will talk about the championship a little bit more next week as well.
You're supposed to say, except Leeds.
The podcast people.